Greetings, greetings. Peace, Yeti life. Can I get a sound check? Let me know I'm good. Shout out to Yusef L at High Frequency Radio. It looked like he was about to start a live actually, and he pushed it off. It was gonna start. It looked like it was gonna start at 3. He pushed it off to 3:30. So that's perfect because I kind of want to catch it. It's called "How Do You Own Nothing and Control Everything." He's got Rockefeller there on the front. But I wanted to mirror and do a live reading here of his last video, 50 legal terms you should know. So let's get into it. Again, I'm trying to get Paul and Slave to collab with Mr. Yusef L. So hopefully that can happen in the near future. Damn.
Have you been injured in an auto accident?
So yeah, how's my sound? Am I coming in all right? Can I get a sound check, mic check, please? Please and thank you. Am I 5x5? Good to go? Okay then, cool. Good deal. Maybe. How do I do this here? Okay, dope. Thank you, sir. Oh, I remember. I gotta drop this. Add this over here. Drag it. And again, this is not going to be for the not going to be much of an entertainment broadcast, fully educational for the most part. So apologies for that. They're not really though. We need to get our education in from time to time, and it can be kind of dry. But I think this is very important knowledge. So I'm going to learn something here. I'm sure there's a lot of terms I'm not familiar with myself. So we got Yeti here, so that's good enough. But not really, because I should wait, right? Should I wait for people to drop in? I don't know if people will drop in. That's the thing. I only have like 40 subs here, and I don't. I'm not very frequent. There's no frequency in my uploading. Let me see. Might as well test this out. Oh, you know what? Here, if I put on something in the background, it'll bring some people in. So I'll just finish because I was watching this anyway, so I'll catch up on this. This was the end of Freedom Growers stream from oh damn, 2 weeks ago. I didn't realize it was that long ago. But Z joined the panel and Max Vision's on there and Morgan. Morgan, the very interesting musician, as some might say. But I'm gonna finish this until people drop in. I might as well. So.
And shit sort of runs downhill, but I just figure it's better position to be up in the trees. There may be some others that want to come up in the trees with me. Max, nice. Z, I think you guys should come up in the trees. It's safer up here.
No, I'm subterranean at this point. I've been subterranean for a while. There's pluses and minuses to it.
Yeah, I like living in a basement. I felt I don't know, there's something comforting about it.
Yeah, I go back and forth with it, man. It's not bad because it seems to be temperature controlled pretty well. It doesn't get too cold in the winter. It doesn't get too hot in the summer.
That's why I like a house with half, right? Half inside, like a rock face, half outside.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the problem, though. I was in a basement in the Northwest that didn't have any ventilation, and I'm sure I was like in radon soup, and there's mold growing on the walls. This is, one of my first excursions into adulthood. I rented this little place under these 3 women that were living upstairs.
I just realized how funny synchronicity this is because how much Yeti and Z look alike or are actually in reality the same person. And I just happen to be playing this because I've been meaning to finish this up here. It's only like 40 minutes, but I'm on double speed, so it'll be like 20 minutes. Just hopefully some more people will join. Otherwise, I'm just going to start. So,
and they immediately hated me because I was bringing other ladies over, and that this upset them, of course. And they were making me live in hell. It's surprising I could bring a woman to this little shithole that I was living in, covered in mold. But I just I grew from that experience, and if you have a basement, you definitely want to ventilate it properly and think about the moisture control.
Yeah,
What do
dude,
you-
no,
what do
no doubt.
What do you think of those houses, those circular houses just built right into the ground? Those are pretty well ventilated. I think those would be awesome. Just with the rooms built on the outside, underground, in a big courtyard in the middle.
I just have an affinity to round houses, Max. I love a round house. I don't want
Yeah.
boxes and walls and corners anymore. I think they're more efficient. I like that part about a yurt. I don't want a yurt per se, but if I had an actual structure on a good foundation that was round,
Mhm.
I could get down with that all day long. That'd be fun. Cordwood
Well,
structures. If you ever look into those, a lot of cordwood structures are round.
What about teepee? There you go, an in-ground teepee.
Expensive way to do it. No, I don't want to live in a teepee.
I could do it. I
like-
could do a yurt. Some of these yurts are pretty big, man. They get pretty elaborate. You get multi-floors. You can get build like a loft in your yurt.
Yeah, I work for a tent company and pretty much build you a house out of tent material with floors, everything.
What do you think about all these frequencies we were talking about earlier? I mean, do you think it's highly impactful, or do you think people make more out of it than it actually
I don't know. I think Morgan's highly impacted by certain frequencies.
Yeah.
Why hasn't it taken over the market? Like, why hasn't hemp become the premium?
Where am I
copper
copper?
producer?
You're on what?
In the garden, man. You want right down the ground and wind it up. Like
Oh, ground yourself with the copper. Yeah,
copper
I'm with you on that.
around the grounded. Yeah, and you want to take the copper wiring, get it right from the ground and going up the air, get an 8 ball.
So that won't work in a potted plant, though, right?
Indie group. He's got one. At a symbol.
Yeah. Think that'll work in a potted plant?
And then
The copper?
Well, you should just put your pot on the ground too. I actually have done what Morgan's
Well,
proposed.
I'm on the
I have
11th
plants
floor,
off
so I
the
don't
ground
really
and
have-
grounded my plants, so
I don't really have the
that's
ground.
in my mind, but
Well, Max, Max, didn't you say once you use the Max? Didn't you say you use your electrical outlet?
You know what's funny? I remember the early days of the Z show when he would have Morgan do the the outro, the closing of the Z show. That was awesome. The early days, the OG days. Not that long ago, but yeah.
Outlet is a ground.
Yeah.
You told me once you plug into it,
Yeah,
and,
I could do that. There you go. That would work.
plug into it. But yeah, Dick, about the frequencies. I'd love to talk about so many things, but with Morgan here, it's hard to focus on anything. Has everybody been following the Morgan saga, or is it just me? Am I one of his 3 fucking viewers?
All right, you know what? I'm just gonna start anyway because otherwise, Paul's gonna start, and then this stream's like gonna just have fallen by the wayside. So I might as well just start reading. So let's get to it. And they weren't really going over rights and freedoms there either. They're just kind of shooting the shit. So, all right, 50 legal terms you should know. And now I'm gonna have to put in the title that I start at the 7-minute mark. So, all right, 50 legal terms that we should know. We should all know. Ministerial. Ministerials of or relating to an act that involves obedience to instructions or laws instead of discretion, judgment, or skill. The court, I'm guessing this is a for example, like a sample sentence. The court clerk's ministerial duties include recording judgments on the docket. Let me turn the quality up a little here. It looks kind of grainy. There we go. It's weird. It was already on 360. All right. Ministerial. I think I can put this in a faster speed. Come on. What's next? Administrator. Administrator is a person who manages or heads a business, public office, or agency. See cases, executors and administrators 17. CJS, executors and administrators. Alrighty then. What's next? The ABCs of legal terms. Oh, I guess not. I guess it's not in alphabetical order. Legal fiction. Legal fiction is an assumption that something is true, even though it may be untrue, made especially in judicial reasoning to alter how a legal rule operates specifically. A device by which a legal rule or institution is diverted from its original purpose to accompany indirectly some other object. The constructive trust is an example of legal fiction, also termed fiction of law or fictio juris. Legal fiction. I employ the expression legal fiction to signify any assumption which conceals or affects to conceal the fact that a rule of law has undergone alteration, its letter remaining unchanged, its operation being modified. It is not difficult to understand why fictions in all their forms are particularly congenial to the infancy of society. They satisfy the desire for improvement, which is not quite wanting. At the same time, they do not offend the superstitious derelish for change which is always present. Which is a quote by Henry S. Maine from Ancient Law, 17th edition. All right, come on. What's next? Banging through it. Still on legal fiction. So legal fiction, quote, legal fiction is the mask that progress must wear to pass the faithful but blear-eyed watchers of our ancient legal treasures. But though legal fictions are useful in thus mitigating or absorbing the shock of innovation, they work havoc in the form of intellectual confusion. Which is a quote by Morris S. Cohen from Law and the Social Order. Getting educational here, peeps. Come on. Moving right along. Actus reus, or guilty act, I'm guessing is. Okay, it's Latin. The wrongful deed that comprises the physical components of a crime that generally must be coupled with means or with mens rea, R-E-A, is that a word? Must be coupled with mens rea to establish criminal liability. A forbidden act. The actus reus for theft is the taking of our unlawful control over property without the owner's consent, also termed deed of crime. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the word REA. If anybody knows that, feel free to drop it. Still on actus reus. Yet he says, my dad is East African mixed with Sicilian, Irish, Mongolian, Russian, and Malagasy? Malagasy? My dad has that Z look too, just a little darker. Yeah, man. I, in a lot of ways, especially my skin color, I don't look anything like my dad. I mean, my dad was about your skin tone, probably darker actually. Pretty dark skinned. He's Cuban, born in Havana, Cuba. But all right, we're moving right along. Actus reus. The word quote the word actus connotes a deed, a physical result of human conduct. When criminal policy regards such a deed as sufficiently harmful, it prohibits it and seeks to prevent its occurrence by imposing a penalty for its commission. It has long been the custom of lawyers to describe a deed so prohibited by law in the word actus reus. Thus, actus reus may be defined as such result of human conduct as the law seeks to prevent. It is important to note that the actus reus, which is the result of conduct and therefore an event, must be distinguished from the conduct which produced the result. For example, in a simple case of murder, it is the victim's death (parentheses) brought about by the conduct of the murderer (parentheses), which is the actus reus. The mens rea is the murderer's intention to cause that death. In other words, the crime is constituted by the event, not by the activity, or in certain cases, as we shall see, by the omission to act, which has caused the event. That's from Kenny's Outlines of Criminal Law. Moving right along. Next, please. Come on. Come on with the come on. Is it playing? Oh, did I miss it? Okay. Sorry. The phrase deed of crime, or actus reus, as so used does not indicate the crime itself, but merely one of the ingredients of crime, and this ingredient may be present without any crime at all, just as hydrogen is one of the ingredients of water, but may be present without water. The words deed of crime are so suggesting of the crime itself, however, that perhaps the Latin phrase actus reus is less likely to cause confusion. The actus reus is essential to crime, but not sufficient for this purpose without the necessary means rea, just as mens rea is essential to crime, but is insufficient without the necessary actus reus. Okay, I'm going to have to look up this word rea. Rea. Clearly is outside of my vocabulary currently. Penal action. Penal action. Well, you know what? Here, let me just do that now. Whoops. My fault. Hold on a second here. All right. There you go. My fault. REA. So flowing. Okay. Flowing. Oh, active reasoning. First, a criminal intent. Okay. Here we go. Criminal intent. The literal translation from Latin is guilty mind. Guilty mind. Okay. Criminal intent. All right. Got it. Got it. All right. Penal action. Penal action, a criminal prosecution. 2, a civil proceeding in which either the state or a common informer sues to recover a penalty from a defendant who has violated a statute. Although civil in nature, a penal action resembles a criminal proceeding because the result of a successful action is a monetary penalty intended like a fine to punish the defendant. Penal action. Quote, at one time it was a frequent practice when it was desired to repress some type of conduct thought to be harmful to do so by the machinery of the civil rather than of the criminal law. The means so chosen was called a penal action as being brought for the recovery of a penalty, and it might be brought according to the wording of the particular statute creating the penal action either by the Attorney General on behalf of the state or by a common informer on his own account. A common informer was anyone who should first sue the offender for the penalty. Penal actions are still possible in a few cases, and their existence renders invalid several suggested distinctions between civil wrongs and crimes. And that's from jurisprudence. Where you at, tribe? Shout out to the tribe. Penal action. For in penal actions, unless the statute expressly authorizes private persons to act as informers, the state alone can sue and recover the penalty, and yet there is full authority for ranking such suits by it as merely civil proceedings. Come on. Next up, de novo. De novo means anew. Okay. To make anew. De novo. All right, we don't need that long for one short word here. Come on. 1.5 speed. Should be getting through this faster. This is pretty dry for me too, guys, so appreciate you bearing through the education. Hell, the name formerly given to a place under the exchequer chamber where the king's debtors were confined. Huh. And that's from Black's Law. Really? Fascinating. Infant, a person within age, not of age, or not of full age, a person under the age of 21 years. All right. Wow. Interesting. So you're an infant at 20? Fascinating. Did not know that. News to me that you can call a late teenager or even a 20-year-old an infant, by definition. Sejurus. Why is the spelling so strange? Lorsui juris? What is the lursery? Okay, I don't know. Latin for of one's own right or independent, of full age and capacity. 2, possessing full social and civil rights. Roman law, of or relating to anyone of any age, male or female, not in the potestas of another, and therefore capable of owning property and enjoying private law rights. As a status, it was not relevant to public law. Yeah, I don't know why the transliteration is so weird. Siu lorsui juris. Strange. Summary judgment. A summary judgment is a judgment granted on a claim of defense about which there is no genuine issue of material fact upon which the movement is entitled to prevail as a matter of law. The court considers the contents of the pleadings, the motions. Whoops. Court considers the contents of the pleadings, the motions, and additional evidence adduced by the parties to determine whether there is a genuine issue of material fact rather than one of law. The procedural device allows the speedy disposition of a controversy without the need for trial. Also termed summary disposition. Judgment on the pleadings. See judgment. This is to refer to cases on federal civil procedure, copyrights, and intellectual property. Yeah, I need to read more on that, on copyright law, libel and slander, injuries, falsehood. Okay. Tax. Tax is a monetary charge imposed by the government on persons, on entities, transactions, or property to yield public revenue. Most broadly, the term embraces all governmental impositions on the person, property, privileges, occupations, and enjoyment of the people, and includes duties, imposts, and excises. Although a tax is often thought of as being pecuniary in nature, it is not necessarily payable in money. It's another one I got to look up, pecuniary. See, I'm humble enough to admit where, not only am I learning here by reading along and learning many of these terms that I'm not familiar with, but even within the definitions themselves, I'm not familiar with so many of these words. So pecuniary. Tax. Taxes are the enforced proportional contributions from persons and property levied by the state by virtue of its sovereignty for the support of government and for all public needs. This definition of tax is often referred to as Cooley's definition, has been quoted and endorsed or approved expressly or otherwise by many different courts. While this definition of taxes characterizes them as contributions, other definitions refer to them as imposts, duty or impost, charges, burdens, or exactions. But these variations in phraseology are of no practical importance. Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Charge. A formal accusation of an offense as a preliminary step to prosecution. A murder charge. Also termed criminal charge. An instruction or command. A mother's charge to her son. Jury charge. Jury charge. Review the charge for appealable error or an assigned duty or task. Responsibility. The manager is charged to open and close the office. Or 5, an encumbrance, lien, or claim. A charge on property. Or 6, a person or thing entrusted to another's care. A charge of the estate. Or 7, a price, cost, or expense free of charge. For example. Oh, okay. Did I press play? Yep. Charging instrument, a formal document, either an indictment or an information that sets forth an accusation of a crime, also termed accusatory instrument. Put this in a 1 3/4 speed. What's next? Statute merchant. One of 2 13th century statutes establishing procedures to better secure and recover debts by, among other things, providing for a commercial bond that, if not timely paid, resulted in swift execution on the lands, goods, and the body of the debtor. Did I miss something there? Also termed pocket judgment. The commercial bond so established. I don't know. Statute merchant. Quote, it is not a little remarkable that our common law knew no process whereby a man could pledge his body or liberty for payment of a debt. Under Edward I, the tide turned. In the interest of commerce, a new form of security, the so-called statute merchant, was invented, which gave the creditor power to demand the seizure and imprisonment of his debtor's body. That's from the History of English Law before the time of Edward I. The Seskevi Trust. Seskevi Trust, one who possesses equitable rights in property, receiving the rents, issues, and profits from it. Beneficiary, also termed fide commissary. Seskevi Trust, or erroneously Seskevi. Okay, Sesquiv Trust. An alternative name for the beneficiary is Sesquiv Trust. An elliptical phrase meaning he for whose benefit the trust was created. In this phrase, Seske is pronounced seti with the accent on the first syllable. Ke is pronounced ki. Or Q is pronounced ki. And trust as in English. Grammatically, the plural should be seske ki trust, pronounced like the singular, but by an understandable mistake, it is sometimes written seske q, damn it, seske q trustant, as if trust were a verb. Got it. Person, a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the right to which the place he holds entitles him and the duties which it imposes. The word in its natural and usual signification includes women as well as men. From Commonwealth vs. Wolofsky. Person. The term may include artificial beings as corporations, quasi-corporations, territorial corporations, foreign corporations, etc., from Black's Law, 4th edition. All right. Moving right along. Ens legis. A creature of the law, an artificial being as opposed to a natural person. See, I'm confused on the person because isn't a person a corporation and therefore a creature of the law? I'm a little confused there. A creature of the law, an artificial being as opposed to a natural being. Again, I'm not by any means a novice, or no, I am a novice. See, I don't even remember the damn meaning of novice. I mean, I'm very new to legal, lawful, spiritual in many ways, clearly, and etymology too, and words and terms and definitions. Still learning, still very new, about a year in, not even. So, okay. The term describes, and this just seems contradictory, that's all to me, because I thought we just read person. Didn't we just read person? Didn't we just read the definition for person? Let's see. Contradictions are upsetting and confusing. So, anyway. The term describes an entity such as a corporation that derives its existence entirely from the law. Next. Fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, the rule that evidence derived from an illegal search, arrest, or interrogation is admissible because the evidence, or the fruit, was tainted by the illegality, the poisonous tree. Under this doctrine, for example, a murder weapon is inadmissible if the map showing its location and used to find it was seized during an illegal search, also termed Fruit's doctrine. See exclusionary rule, attenuation doctrine, independent. Okay. Yeah, I gotta get Black's Law dictionary. Slavery. A situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another, or the practice of keeping individuals in such a state of bondage or servitude. Slavery was outlawed by the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And if you didn't know, now you know. Slavery, quote, slavery was a big problem for the Constitution makers. Those who profited by it insisted on protecting it. Those who loathed it dreaded even more the prospect that to insist on abolition would mean the Constitution would die aborting. So the framers reached a compromise of sorts. The words slave and slavery would never be mentioned, but the Constitution would safeguard the peculiar institution from the abolitionists. All right. We're all slaves to some degree, right? Unless we've completely broken free from the constraints of the system. But all right. Slight evidence rule. The doctrine providing that when there is evidence establishing the existence of a conspiracy between at least two other people, The prosecution need only offer slight evidence of a defendant's knowing participation or intentional involvement in the conspiracy to secure a conviction. This rule was first announced in Tomplain versus United States. In the decades after Tomplain, other circuits adopted the rule, but not until the 70s did the rule become widespread. Since then, the rule has been widely criticized and in most circuits abolished. But its vitality remains undiminished in some jurisdictions. Two, the doctrine that only slight evidence of a defendant's participation in a conspiracy need be offered in order to admit a co-conspirator's out-of-court statement under the co-conspirator exception to the hearsay. Public figure. A person who has achieved fame or notoriety or who has voluntarily become involved in a public controversy. A public figure or public official suing for defamation must prove that the defendant acted with actual malice, also termed public character. Okay. Bond. Bond is an obligation, a promise. An obligation, or in English, a bond, is a document written and sealed containing a confession or a debt. A confession of a debt, sorry. In later times, contract is the genus, obligation, the species. From the history of English law. Come on. Bond is a written promise to pay money or do some act if certain circumstances occur or certain time elapses. A promise that is defeasible upon a condition subsequent. An instrument under seal by which a public officer undertakes to pay a sum of money if he or she does not faithfully discharge the responsibilities of office, or a surety undertakes, or two, a surety undertakes that if the public officer does not do so, the surety will be liable in a penal sum. Quote, the fact that an instrument is called a bond is not conclusive as to its character. It is necessary to disregard nomenclature and look to the substance of the bond itself. The distinguishing feature of a bond is that it is an obligation to pay a fixed sum of money at a definite time with a slated interest. And it makes no difference whether a bond is designated by that name or by some other if it possesses the characteristics of a bond. There is no distinction between bonds and certificates of indebtedness which conform to all the characteristics of bonds. Why can't I add a media slot here? That is weird. Maybe if I put it like here, maybe if I do it like this, put it behind, layer back, and then save as a new layout, and then bring it up, and bam. Yeah, that's kind of cool. A little more something to look at. All right. Where are we at? Presentment. Presentment. The act of presenting or laying before a court or other tribunal a formal statement about a matter to be dealt with legally. 2, a criminal procedure, a formal written accusation returned by a grand jury on its own initiative, without a prosecutor's previous indictment request. Presentments are obsolete in the federal courts. Getting through it quite well. I think we're about halfway already. Let's see. Almost halfway. What is next? Presentment still. A grand jury has only 2 functions, either to indict or to return a no bill. The Constitution speaks also of a presentment, but this is a term with a distinct historical meaning now not well understood. Historically, presentment was the process by which a grand jury initiated an independent investigation and asked that a charge be drawn to cover the facts should they constitute a crime. With United States attorneys now always available to advise grand juries, proceeding by presentment is an outmoded practice. 3. the formal production of a negotiable instrument for acceptance of payment. Huh. Interesting. Didn't know that. Presentment and dishonor occur, for instance, when the holder of a check attempts to cash it at the drawee bank, but payment is refused because the drawer lacks sufficient funds on deposit. The demand for payment is presentment. The bank's refusal to pay is dishonor. The bank's refusal to pay is dishonor from UCC 16-8. A lien, a legal right or interest that a creditor has in another's property. Lasting usury until a debt or duty that it secures is satisfied. Typically, the creditor does not take possession of the property on which the lien has been obtained. Typically, the creditor does not take possession. Okay. Alienation of affections. Alienation of affections, a tort claim for willful or malicious interference with a marriage by a third party without justification or excuse. Where the cause of action still exists, the elements are: 1, some wrongful conduct by the defendant with the plaintiff's spouse; 2, the loss of affection or loss of consortium of the plaintiff's spouse; and 3, a causal relationship between the defendant's conduct and the loss of consortium. Heart bomb statutes in 26 states and the DC have now abolished in whole or in part suits for alienation of affections, but the doctrine thrives elsewhere. For example, a North Carolina court has upheld a $1 million award to an ex-wife who filed an alienation of affections action against her ex-husband's new wife. This is riveting and extremely educational, non-entertainment content here. Why are the transliterations so strange? Alienal? It looks like alieni juris, but it says alienal or ali juris. Oh yeah, what? Okay, that's strange. Anyway, alienal juris, whatever the fuck you say it, subject to the power or authority of another. So basically a slave. A slave, subject to the power or authority of another. Alloidial, like alloidial title. Alloidial, held in absolute ownership pertaining to an alloidium. Also spelled alloidial with only one L. Huh. Okay then. Alloidial. The term alloidial originally had no necessary reference to the mode in which the ownership of land had been conferred. It simply meant land held in absolute ownership, not in dependence upon any other body or person in whom the proprietary rights were supposed to reside, or to whom the possessor of land was bound to render service. See, this was before the slavery system was really constructed, is what this is getting at, or really the Industrial Revolution. Really, I guess is probably what took it into overdrive, but or even before that, really, early 1900s. Where are we at here? Oh, it would thus properly apply to the land which in the original settlement had been allotted to individuals, which book land was primarily applicable to land the title to which rested on a formal grant. Before long, however, the words appear to have been used synonymously to express land held in absolute ownership, the subject of free disposition, inter vivos, or by will. From an introduction to the history of the law of real property. Usufruct. You're so fucked, bro. If you don't know this word. Usufruct. Interesting. Roman and civil law. A right to use and enjoy the fruits of another's property for a period without damaging or diminishing it, although the property might naturally deteriorate over time. In Roman law, the usufruct was considered a personal servitude, giving a real right. In modern civil law, the owner of the usufruct is similar to a life tenant, and the owner of the thing burdened is the naked owner. Also termed perfect usufruct. You're so fucked, bro, if you don't remember this. Usufructus. You so fucked us. Interesting. Usufructus. is the right of using and enjoying property belonging to another provided the substance of the property remained unimpaired. More exactly, a usufruct was the right granted to a man personally to use and enjoy, usually for his life, darn it, the property of another, which, when the usufruct ended, was to revert intact to the dominus or his heir. It might be for a term of years, but even here it was ended by death. And in the case of a corporation which never dies, Justinian fixed the period at 100 years. A usufruct might be in land or buildings, a slave or beast of burden, and in fact in anything except things which were destroyed by use. The reason, of course, being that it was impossible to restore such things at the end of the usufruct intact. So fruct. Ultravires. Unauthorized, beyond the scope of power allowed or granted by a corporate charter or by law, as in the officer was liable for the firm's ultravires actions. Okay. Fact. A fact is something that actually exists, an aspect of reality. Quote, it is a fact that all people are mortal. See, that might be some misinformation, disinformation there. Because in the Bible, well, I guess they were still dying, right? But why were they living to 7, 8, 900 years old? You know, was that based in reality, or was that just kind of like a, is it all allegory? I think it's a mix. But anyway, I'm going off here. Facts include not just tangible things, actual occurrences and relationships, but also states of mind such as intentions and opinions. 2, an actual or alleged event or circumstance as distinguished from its legal effect, consequence, or interpretation. Like the jury made a finding of fact. Also, an evil deed or a crime. Like, quote, an accessory after the fact. Never thought of a fact as a crime. But yeah, you have to use facts to prove evidence or as evidence of crime. A fact is any act or condition of things assumed for the moment as happening or existing. Right. Stipulation. We're about a little over halfway here. Stipulation. A material condition or requirement in an agreement. A factual representation that is incorporated into a contract as a term, like breach of the stipulation regarding payment of taxes. Such a contractual term often appears in a section of the contract called representations and warranties. 2, a voluntary agreement between opposing parties concerning some relevant point. An agreement relating to a proceeding made by attorneys representing adverse parties to the proceeding, like the plaintiff and defendant entered into a stipulation on the issue of liability. A stipulation relating to a pending judicial proceeding made by a party to the proceeding or the party's attorney is binding without consideration. Hello? Oh, damn. My fault. Is there going to be a third one here? Okay. Stipulation, quote, breach of a stipulation should not be confused with misrepresentation, which is the false statement made before or at the time the contract is made and which induces the contract only if it is incorporated into the contract as it becomes a stipulation or term, the breach of which will entitle the injured party to pursue the usual remedies which are available where there has been a breach of a warranty or of a condition from the principles of mercantile law. Stipulations with respect to matters of form and procedure serve the convenience of the parties to litigation and often serve to simplify and expedite the proceeding. In some cases, they are supported by the policy of favoring compromise in order to reduce the volume of litigation. Hence, they are favored by the courts and enforced without regard to consideration. From Restatement Second of Contracts. Hence, they are favored by the courts and enforced without regard to consideration. Sounds about right. Stipulation 3, Roman law. A formal contract by which a promiser, and only the promiser, became bound by oral question and answer. By the 3rd century AD, stipulations were always evidenced in writing. Stipulative, as an adjective, a stipulation consisted in a question and answer, the question being put by the person who was to acquire a right, the answer being given orally by the person who undertook the obligation. The matter of the agreement being stated, the binding words were usually simple. Those used by and peculiar to Romans being spondesni or spondio. Even they have question marks, which I do too in my head. A stipulation made with a foreigner in these terms was invalid. The questioner was called stipulator, sometimes rus stipulandi, like a stipulating party. The answerer, usually promiser, or res promittendi, or the promising party. Fascinating. All right, stranger. Stranger, one who is not a party to a given contraction, especially someone other than a party or the party's employee, agent, tenant, or immediate family member. Or 2, one not standing toward another in some relation implied in the context, one who is not in privity. 3, a person who voluntarily pays another person's debt, even though the payer cannot be held liable for the debt and the payer's property is not affected by the creditor's rights. Subrogation does not apply to a stranger if the debtor did not agree to or assign subrogation rights. There's another word you need to brush up on. Subrogation. I know subjugation, not subrogation. So there we go. Subrogation. Good deal. See that? Subrogation is the substitution of one party for another whose debt the party pays. Okay, entitling the paying party to rights, remedies, or securities that would otherwise belong to the debtor. For example, a surety who has paid a debt is by subrogation entitled to any security for the debt held by the creditor and the benefit of any judgment the creditor has against the debtor, and may proceed against the debtor as the creditor would. Let me see something here. I'm going to drop the link just in case anyone does care to join. Someone does happen to hop in here other than the 2 people watching. There's the link to join. I hope you enjoy my picture there, my new channel picture. As you can see, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Slave Dave there in the back. You got Mr. Brian Opiz. You got OTW in the back. You got Mr. Not Yurt and Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul Enslaved. All right, let's keep going here. The equitable remedy by which a substitution takes place. All right. What's next? Moving right along. We're 2/3 the way in here. So, subrogation, the principle under which an insurer that has paid a loss under an insurance policy is entitled to all the rights and remedies belonging to the insured against a third party with respect to any loss covered by the policy. See equity of subrogation and the anti-subrogation rule. Subrogation is equitable assignment. The right comes into existence when the surety becomes obligated, and this is important as affecting priorities, but such right of subrogation does not become a cause of action until the debt is fully paid. Subrogation entitles the surety to use any remedy against the principal which the creditor could have used, and in general to enjoy the benefit or the benefit of any advantage that the creditor had, such as mortgage, lien, power to confess judgment, to follow trust funds, to proceed against a third person who has promised either the principal or the creditor to pay the debt. Subrogation simply means substitution of one another of one person for another. That is, one person is allowed to stand in the shoes of another and assert that person's rights against the defendant. Factually, the case arises because, for some justifiable reason, the subrogation plaintiff has paid a debt owed by the defendant. From the law of remedies. Are we still on subrogation? No, we're on malum in se. Malum in se. Latin for evil in itself. A crime or an act that is inherently immoral, such as murder, arson, or rape. Malum in se. I've never heard that one. Malum in se. The basis for the distinction between malum in se and mala prohibita, between what one might call a crime and an offense, or between what one might call a felony and a misdemeanor, if one could modernize those terms so that the latter was given its natural meaning, is that crime means to the ordinary man something that is sinful or immoral, and an offense at worst a piece of misbehavior from the enforcement of morals. The distinction between offenses mala in se and offenses mala prohibita was recognized at least as early as the 15th century. It has been criticized repeatedly. About a century and a half ago, the distinction was said to be one not founded upon any sound principle and which had long since been exploded. The Supreme Court, however, has shown that it is just as firmly entrenched today as it was in 1495. Oh man, this stuff's boring. An act, okay, malum prohibitum, prohibited evil. An act that is a crime merely because it is prohibited by statute. Although the act itself is not necessarily immoral, misdemeanors such as jaywalking and running a stoplight are mala prohibita, as are many regulatory violations. Meaning you shouldn't do them. Shouldn't. Not can't, but shouldn't. Quote, much of the criminal law that is regulatory in character, the part of it that deals with malum prohibitum rather than malum in se, is based upon the principle that the choice of the individual must give way to the convenience of the many. Wow, this one's long. Quote, as customarily used, these phrases are mutually exclusive. An offense malum prohibitum is not a wrong which is prohibited, but something which is wrong only in the sense that it is against the law. This is emphasized at times by such phrases as malum prohibitum only or but malum prohibitum. Although it is understood without any such qualification, a failure to understand this usage of the terms has led some to assume that all statutory additions to the common law of crimes are mala prohibita. One writer emphasized his confusion by speaking of embezzlement as malum prohibitum. This assumption is utterly without foundation. An act may be malum in se, although no punishment is provided by law, if this defect is corrected by appropriate legislation, what previously was malum in se does not cease to be so by reason of having been defined and made punishable by law. Indeed, sunshine time, I will never remember all this either. I am with you there. Well, let me not set myself up for failure. I will remember this once I practice learning this a little bit more with some repetition. Practice makes perfect. You get my drift. I'll just awkwardly put myself right here. How's that? Keep my eyes right here. All right. There you go. Okay, matrix. We are in a matrix. How's my sound? Like if I don't, I usually hold the headphones up. Whatever, I'll just keep holding them up. Matrix. The original legal instrument from which all copies must be made. A list of the parties to a lawsuit, including the addresses at which pleadings and notices can be served. A matrix is commonly used to list the names and addresses of creditors and other parties in a bankruptcy case. Many bankruptcy courts have specific rules on how to prepare the matrix. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Debt. I think I've heard of this one before. Debt. Liability on a claim, a specific sum of money due by agreement or otherwise. The debt amounted to $2,500. Okay, it gives these sample sentences. Whoops. Go back there a second. The aggregate, dang it. 2, the aggregate of all existing claims against a person, entity, or state, as in the bank denied the loan application after analyzing the applicant's outstanding debt. 3, the non-monetary thing that one person owes another, such as goods or services. Her debt was to supply him with 20 international first-class tickets on the air of his choice. I think we just hit the 40. Oh no, what am I saying? Never mind. Debt. 4. A common law writ by which a court adjudicates claims involving fixed sums of money, as in he brought suit in debt, also termed and sense for writ of debt. Are you then? Debt. The action of debt lies where a party claims the recovery of a debt that is a liquidated or certain sum of money due him. The action is based upon contract, but the contract may be implied either in fact or in law, as well as express. It may be either a simple contract or a specialty. The most common instances of its use are for debts. A, upon unilateral contracts express or implied in fact. B, upon quasi-contractual obligations having the force and effect of simple contracts. C, upon bonds and covenants under seal. D, upon judgments or obligations of record. And E, upon obligations imposed by statute. Is my sound still good, by the way? Give me a thumbs up. Equity. Equity is fairness, impartiality, even-handed dealing. As in the company's policies require managers to use equity in dealing with subordinate employees. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Whoops. Where was I? There are many matters of natural. Wait a minute here. Oh. The body of principles constituting what is fair and right, natural law. The concept of inalienable rights reflects the influence of equity on the Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence, what's that? Bill of Rights, what's that? Constitution, what's that? Amendments, what's that? All right, come on. Equity. Equity, in its popular sense, equity is practically equivalent to natural justice, but it would be a mistake to suppose that equity, as administered by the courts, embraces a jurisdiction as wide and extensive as that which would result from carrying into operation all the principles of natural justice. There are framing any general rules to meet them, and from the doubtful wisdom of a policy of attempting to give a legal sanction to duties of imperfect obligation, such as charity, gratitude, and kindness. A large proportion of natural justice in its widest sense is thus not judicially enforced, but is left to the conscience of each individual. And that is from Snell's Principles of Equity. Equity. 3. The recourse to principles of justice to correct or supplement the law as applied to particular circumstances, as in the judge decided the case by equity because the statute did not fully address the issue, also termed natural equity. 4. The system of law or body of principles originating in the English Court of Chancery and superseding the common and statute law together, called law in the narrower sense, when the two conflict, as in appearing to the equity of the court, she was appealing to the king's conscience. See Chancery. Okay, equity is that system of justice which was developed in and administered by the High Court of Chancery in England in the exercise of its extraordinary jurisdiction. This definition is rather suggestive than precise, and invites inquiry rather than answers it. This must necessarily be so. Equity in its technical and scientific legal sense means neither natural justice nor even all that portion of natural justice which is susceptible of being judicially enforced. We're learning together here, folks. We're spreading, pounding, coming together, and doing info, as some might say. Equity. It has, when employed in the language of English, in the language of English law, a precise, definite, and limited signification. It is used to denote a system of justice, which system cannot be defined in a single sentence, but can be understood and explained only by studying the history of that court and the principles upon which it acts. In order to begin to understand what equity is, it is necessary to understand what the English High Court of Chancery was, and how it came to exercise what is known as its extraordinary jurisdiction. Every true definition of equity must therefore be, to a greater or less extent, a history. Guys, don't feel bad. I mean, this stuff is pretty over my head too, and yeah, a lot of it is going to take time. Reread and reread. Equity. In its technical sense, equity may be defined as a portion of natural justice which, although of a nature more suitable for judicial enforcement, was for historical reasons not enforced by the common law courts, an omission which was supplied by the Court of Chancery. In short, the whole distinction between equity and law is not so much a matter of substance or principle as of form and history. The term equity is an illustration of Mr. Towkington's proposition that some words have a legal meaning and very unlike their ordinary one. In ordinary language, equity means natural justice, but the beginner must get must get that idea out of his head or her head or them, they, their, or its head, right? It'd be appropriate to the times here. Got to get it out of their head when dealing with the system that the lawyers call equity. Originally, indeed, this system was inspired by ideas of natural justice, and that is why it acquired its name. By nowadays, equity is no more and no less natural justice than the common law, and it is in fact nothing else than a particular branch of the law of England. Equity, therefore, is law. Equity, therefore, is law. The student should not allow himself to be confused by the lawyer's habit of contrasting law and equity, for in this context, law is simply an abbreviation for the common law. Equity is law in the sense that it is part of the law of England. It is not law only in the sense that it is not part of the common law. Moving right along, I think we're almost done. Equity, yep, almost done. Equity, a right, interest, or remedy recognizable by a court of equity, as in there was no formal contract formation, so they sued for breach in equity. And no, I'm not trying to promote sports here. So just happen to have this OG Florida Marlins hat before they turned into Miami Marlins. Anyway, banker's acceptance. Banker's acceptance is a bill of exchange drawn on and accepted by a commercial bank. Banker's acceptances are often issued to finance the safe of goods in international trade, also termed bank acceptance. See bills and notes, letters of credit. All right, almost done. Accommodation party. A person who, without recompense or other benefit, signs a negotiable instrument for the purpose of being a surety for another party, called the accommodated party to the instrument. The accommodation party can sign. The accommodation party can sign in any capacity, for example, as maker, drawer, acceptor, or endorser. I didn't know. I've never seen endorser spelled with an I instead of an E. Huh. An accommodation party is liable to all parties except the accommodated party, who impliedly agrees to pay the note or draft and to indemnify the accommodation party for all losses incurred in having to pay it. An accommodation party is liable to all parties except the accommodated party who impliedly agrees to pay the note or draft to indemnify the accommodation party for all losses incurred in having to pay it. See surety. Okay. Monster. Monster. A human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster hath no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land. A prestigious. What is it? A prodigious birth, a human birth, or offspring not having the shape of mankind, which cannot be heir to any land, albeit it be brought forth in marriage. Note, under quote, human being, unquote, Valentine says only, see monster. Neither of the above major law dictionaries defines human being, only monster. What? I don't know. Anyway, all right. Nom de guerre. War name. A fictitious name. A name assumed by or a name assigned to a person engaged in some action or enterprise. Whoops. Note, any fictitious name is a war name or nom de guerre. the U.S. government formally at war with you since the amendatory act to the Trading with the Enemy Act, used the legal fiction artifice of the right to presume on your behalf, and assigned you a false name, a war name in the form of your all capital letters straw man name, nom de guerre trade name. See legal fiction. The perfection of security interest. In secured transactions law, the process whereby a security interest is protected as far as the law permits against competing claims to the collateral, which usually requires the secured party to give notice of the interest as by filing in a government office, for example, in Office of Secretary of State. Perfection of a security interest deals with those steps legally required to give a secured party interest in subject property against debtors' creditors. A security interest is perfected when it has attached and when the applicable steps required for perfection have been taken. Such steps are specified in sections 9-302, 304, and 305, and 306. If such steps are taken before the security interest attaches, it is perfected at the time when it attaches. See UCC 9-303. Did I say that right? 9-303, yep. Presumption. A presumption is an assumption of fact that the law requires to be made from another fact or group of facts found or otherwise established in the action. A presumption is not evidence. A presumption is either conclusive or rebuttable. Every rebuttable presumption is either A, presumption affecting the burden of producing evidence, or B, a presumption affecting the burden of proof. From Black Sixth. A disputable presumption, also called an inconclusive or rebuttable presumption, is an interference of law which holds good until it is invalidated by proof or a stronger presumption. Disputable presumption, rebuttable presumption, legal fiction. Note, re-ownership of your trade name, your all caps trade name, a presumption of ownership was made and title thereto, birth certificate, was taken without knowledge and consent of both your mother and you. Such presumption is nullified via the publication of the copyright notice under common law and is further amplified with the filing of a UCC financing statement. Public. This might be the last one here, third to last. Public. Pertaining to a state, nation, or whole community, proceeding from, relating to, or affecting the whole body of people or an entire community. Open to all, notorious. Common to all or many, general, open to common use, belonging to the public at large, relating to or affecting the whole people of a state, nation, or community, not limited or restricted to any particular class of the community. Quote, that vast multitude, which includes the ignorant, the unthinking, and the credulous, who in making a purchase do not stop to analyze, but are governed by general appearance and general impressions. From Ballantyne's Law Dictionary. Got so much mango here, it is freaking insane. Wish I could share. Public policy. Broadly, principles and standards regarded by the legislature or the courts as being of fundamental concern. I don't know why the word concern has the number 11 in it. That's very strange. Co-11 cern. Fascinating. As being of fundamental concern to the state and the whole of society. I'm pretty sure what that means to say. Courts sometimes use the term to justify their decisions, as when declaring a contract void because it is, quote, contrary to public policy, or as it says there, PPLacy. A lot of typos on this slide. 2, more narrowly, the principle that a person should not do anything that would tend to injure the public at large. All right. That might be the last one. Yep. Wow. We got through it. Is anyone still here? Let's see. 3 people rocking with me. Look at that. Wow. People learning. Well,
when you need to get out of debt, the last thing you need is more debt. So why get a debt consolidation loan to pay off your credit cards? There's a better way to consolidate.
Anyway, fascinating stuff, guys. 50 legal terms that you should know. Go back and rewatch if you missed it. It is completely just, oh my gosh, man, jaw dropping. I mean, so high energy and adrenaline filled, just reading these 50 legal terms. I mean, I haven't had this much fun, and man, I really don't know how long.
West side of Grand Rapids, which is the new Detroit. And I grew up, my best friends in the world were Indians. I grew up with 4 Indian dudes.
Damn, Jay Phillips. Jay Phillips in the house. Let me just drop a little I. Show him I'm dropping the thumb love. Shout out to Charles Was. Like he's live touching on some Manly P. Hall. He's love me some Manly P. Hall on the occult anatomy of man. You can just look him up at Charles Was. Anyway, it looks like Mr. Paul is live. With De Laguna on the thumbnail. Fresh and fit, breaking news. And 2 times Wes Watson with Pimp Panel with more triggered slaves. And Yusef L is also live on how do you own nothing and control everything.
What has happened to law and order, to the neighborhood?
Let's see here. When did he start? We started a while ago. Oh, shout out to Emmanuel is in the chat. Looks like Emmanuel is here instead of Paul's. And he's not the only one. I'll learn a little bit first, and then I'll switch over to Paul's. I'll just keep this thing going and rocking.
Peace to the gods. Peace to the gods.
Peace to the gods. Haven't watched Yusef in a while. So even though I just read one of his, that was his last, those 50 legal terms, that was one of his videos. So credits to him for posting that. Not that he invented those words or their definitions by any means.
Okay. I think I'm ready to roll. How's everybody doing today?
Social audience of over 500.
Call-in number is 563-999-3660.
What was so funny? Did I say something funny?
Real quick.
Did I do that?
And before I do it, let me do a sound check. You always do a sound check when I start my show for the smart assos in the comment section. You start live streaming by yourself and doing everything yourself.
Why does the volume sound so low? Hold on a second.
Anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna watch
All right,
some of this
is good. Good.
in double speed, and then I'm gonna switch over to Paul. Watch some of that in double speed, and or maybe I'll end it. I don't fucking know, because that way I can keep it like.
All right, so let's get the lights up.
Short for people to watch.
And then people always complaining. Somebody was in my
I don't know. We'll see how I
a
feel.
little bit today. My SBC group on Facebook. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. This is it right here. This is my SBC group on Facebook, and you can join it. There's plenty of documents in here. There are like a ton of documents in here on this in this group. And but you got if I don't watch it, I step away. People, they come in there and they, you got agents in there and the motherfuckers come in there trying to make you come to their group and shit. I just block you. I'm just gonna tell you, you come in my group. If you say anything negative, first of all, you say anything negative against me, I'm definitely going to block you. Why the hell am I gonna let you in my group and you come into my group talking about me? I mean, are you stupid or something? I'm gonna kick you out without warning. I'm gonna kick you out when you start trying to get people to come to your group or Telegram or something like that. I'm gonna kick you out. I'm gonna kick you out if you start talking about what I teach isn't the right way or anything like. Why are you coming into my group with all of that? I don't understand that. Go start your group and then talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Don't come in my group and start talking about things. I have over I don't know how many people in this group now. I mean, it's like growing constantly all the time. I think we got like 15,000 members or something like that. 20,000. Wow, 20,300 members. Over 20,300 members in this group. There are so many documents in here. If you can't find it in here, no, it's not on the internet. I'll be willing to say. But this group is I'm policing it very heavily now. I'm policing it very heavily. So I'm going to be spending my time because I don't really like Facebook that much because I just think the people that are on Facebook are just not the way that their mind and attention is. It's not really focused. I can post something about this. Don't nobody like. I post something talking about women. They go post it in a feminist group. I got 30,000 people attacking me and everything. So that's the mindset of Facebook. And I'm just primarily on Instagram and YouTube more so. However, I do go into the Facebook group. Facebook group is a good group. It's good. But my main profile, anyway. Peace, peace, peace. Likes up, likes or likes at. Let's see what them likes at. We only got 91 likes, 143 people in there. Okay, I guess. Can we get the likes up to 100? Let's get the likes up to 100 so we can go. Also, the name of this show today is How Do I Become? How do you own nothing and control everything? And I was talking about it a little bit yesterday. And my journey into trying to understand a lot of this information, what's going on in the world, has branched out into a lot of different things. You have people that are like, why you talk about this? Like, why do you even bring up the Jewish control of things? Things. How is that relative to what it is that you teach? And the funny thing about it is when you first get into it, you're not thinking about any of those things. You're just trying to, like a lot of people, all their mind is how I discharge this debt. So of course, they would never see anything. That's all they're thinking about is how do I discharge this debt? Or how do I take care of my exigent circumstance, that's pressing on me right now? That's the only thing they want to know. But when you start studying the actual subject, and you start getting into public and private and understanding private property rights, understanding the difference between the democracy and the Constitution, understanding what happened in 1933, understanding how you lost your rights, understanding what are the consequences of accepting benefits and privileges. Once you start understanding all of that, you begin to say that there is some sort of attempted takeover of your government. It is something people warring with the republic versus a Marxist, socialist, communist takeover. They're trying to take over, and I don't understand. And then you begin to understand why, because there are a group of people who want to run the world. And in order to run the world, they need to get rid of masculinity. Obviously, you don't need to have any men, real men, who are going to stand up against them. I hope all you women are taking note, especially you feminists, because you feminists are going to be the first one that they're going to take care of once they get everything in place. You're not going to be running anything. I don't understand why you think feminism is so great. You're just being used as a tool right now. So are the LGBTQ community and a lot of other communities. You're nothing but tools. Black people who are part of the Democratic Party, nothing but tools. You're just being used. You're just being used. You need to delve into this subject a little deeper. You need to read something like Behold a Pale Horse. Let's look at Behold a Pale Horse real quick. Let's look at it real quick. Let's look at that book real quick. I'm gonna see if I can find it. They make a lot of stuff hard to find on the internet. Now you can just pull stuff up on the internet, it will just pop up and shit. Now it's like everything you try to get. Okay, I got it. Okay, I had it right here. Let's see what's happening right here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Is that it right there? Behold a Pale Horse. All right, this is a book by William Cooper. All right, that you hear me talk about a lot. All right, you hear me talk about this book all the time. Hear me talk about this book all the time. All right, let me make sure everything is still rolling. Audio, yep. Appreciate it. Thank you for I Heard Media. I appreciate that. Thank you, Joe Sanchez, for the 20 bones, man. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the 5-piece I Heard Media. I appreciate every dollar I get. Every dollar I get, I'm thankful for, because it comes back 10 times fold. Gratitude. Gratitude for everything you get. If you don't appreciate what you have, you won't be given anything else. Remember that. All right. Starts with appreciating what you already got. Okay. So right now, we're looking at Behold a Pale Horse. Now, this document, I first came across this document in the early 90s. I think the publishing date on it is like 1989 or something like that. Let me see if I can see the publishing date. Oh, William Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse. It's coming out of the Bible. And table of contents, you can see right here, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars.
See, this is great. This is great stuff because, great book. The one time I read Behold a Pale Horse was when I was down in the can for a little time there. I had to do a little time on some bull. And go figure. The one time I got a banned book that's not very easy to come across and find or buy. Go figure. The one time I'd get it was in the can. Fascinating. Anyway.
That's the first time I ever read that document was in here. Secret Societies and the New World Order, Oath of Initiation of the Unidentified Secret Order.
Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I'm just grateful to be alive after being hit with Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars on none other than the nation's birthday, July 4th, 2021. Coming up on a 2-year anniversary now. And I'm literally just now finally about to step up and get the injury that I incurred there worked on, the damage from that injury. So thank God I'm finally gonna go past my fear and step up and invest the money into fixing that. I'm gonna be dead broke afterwards. Actually, I'm not even gonna have the money to really fund it. I'm gonna have to do some type of, I'm gonna have to probably incur a little bit of debt or get some family help. But I'm finally gonna step up and get it done, and it's definitely gonna take me to a new level because it's something that causes me a great deal of issues. Both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels. So I'm looking forward to taking care of it. Anyway, I'm going to keep going.
That particular oath right there is
shut my
government
mouth.
officials, they take an oath to uphold the Constitution, but if they are with these secret orders, they have an oath that supersedes that, and their oath is not binding. So their oath is not binding. All right. The secret treaty of Verona, you've heard Taj 3 Bay talk about that a lot. It was right in here. A lot of guys in the Moorish area, been reading that way back in 1991. Goodbye USA, Hello New World Order, HR, House Resolution 4079, and FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Anti-Drug Abuse Act, or the sheep ready to shear. Anatomy of Alliance, Lessons from Lithuania, all this stuff. There go chapter 15, Protocols of the Learned Elders Design. You got the story of Jonathan May. The story of Jonathan May, if you understand that, you understand a lot about commerce and a lot about trust and a lot about monetization, if you can understand that. Because he did a feasibility study and a geological survey of some property that was left to him and found that it had a lot of gold, silver, and a lot of precious elements within it. And he was able to monetize without actually digging it up and created his first land bank. And he tried to pay off the national debt. They put him in jail for 10 years for doing it. And you got to see, and he routed, what they did was they routed his instruments to the American Banking Association when the instructions, the processing instructions clearly said that they should be routed privately. Much the way we do things today. Y'all trying to put those ABA numbers at the bottom of your negotiable instruments, which is going to get you put in prison when you don't need to do that. There's no need to route it through their system. That's not how this is set up. All right. All right, so you got UFOs, Area 51, AIDS, a lot of things, a lot of things talked about in here. There's William Cooper and his son. They killed him. 2 police officers killed him, came up to his property and shot him. He lost a leg and all kind of things, But this guy was definitely, anything you can get from William Cooper, you should listen to it. He have a lot of audios. I might upload some of his audios onto my BitChute. You can't upload them on YouTube. You can't upload anything like this on YouTube. They try to snatch your channel down. But it's a lot of information from William Cooper that you will find. He was a naval intelligence officer. He was a military officer. All right, he's giving you some of his background and credentials. But this book was a very, very good book. In the back of this book, there's some interesting things. I'll show you how far up they've been on it. They were talking about Joe Biden in here too. Talking about how Joe Biden wasn't. This was like 20, 30 years ago. Talking about he's working for the New World Order. That's why you get on the internet right now. They got videos of Joe Biden on YouTube right now. You can go to Google. Joe Biden says that he's a Zionist. Go and check it out. He said, I'm a Zionist. Put it in YouTube right now and listen to your man, your president, the y'all elected. Listen to what he say. I'm a Zionist, man. I'm working for the New World Order. Y'all working for the New World Order. But I'm not gonna go too deep into that book, but you should read that book, The New World Order. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars is in there. Everything is in there. If you go to the bookstore now and pick this up, they didn't change it. You got to get older copies of it because they took Protocols of the New Learned Elders Design out. A lot of other things that they've taken out of that book, you got to take it out. But the title of this today is How Do I Own Nothing and Control Everything? Which is really, after all of my studies and studying and analyzing a lot of this information, seems to be the object of the game. Okay, becoming a secure party and all these different things that you're supposed to be doing. It's a recognition that everything in the public operates from artificial persons. What do you want to call it? Artificial person, an ens legis, a nom de gore, a straw man, whatever you want to call it. It's an artificial person. Okay, it is a construct of the mind. It's a figment of somebody's motherfucking imagination. All right, don't exist in contemplation of reality. It exists in somebody's imagination, and you got people running around as if it really exists. That's something you can touch and feel, but it's not. So they playing this let's pretend game, this imaginary game, and you got to learn how to play the rules of the game. The rules of the game is first and foremost is that everything is commercial. Everything has to do with money. Money is the underlying thing of everything. As a matter of fact, that's what I loved about that was beautiful about Dealing with Presentments. It's a document called Dealing with Presentments. Dealing with Presentments. The best documents on the internet are the ones that you don't know who wrote them. You don't know who wrote them. People come out and say this person wrote that. Listen. You don't know. They'll say, well, this person wrote this or this person wrote. You'll hear some of the anti-sovereigns. They'll come out and try to tell you that this particular person wrote this or Jack Smith wrote this or this guy wrote this. That's bullshit. Anybody, you don't know. I've been doing this forever. Nobody knows who wrote any fucking thing. The Judge Dale documents say that's been certified as bullshit, or they'll say Protocols to Learn Elders has been proven to be a fabrication. No, it hasn't. Never been proven to be a fabrication. You're a fucking liar. None of these documents have been proven to be anything. You're just a liar. And I guarantee you're a liberal or you're some sort of Zionist hiding behind a fake profile saying that you don't respect nobody. If you say something to me and I can't go and find your Facebook or Instagram and see who you are, what kind of person you are, it don't mean anything to me. I just ignore it, block it, football punt it, do whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. As far as I'm concerned, your agent. This is cucumbers and lemons. That's it. It's cucumbers and lemons. It's nasty. It needs a sweetener in it. I should put some apples in it. I'm not trying to go hard to paint. All right, so here, is it right here? Dealing with Presentments. All this stuff. All these documents are on SPC University. All right, so right here, this is a document dealing with presentments. All right, this document is one of the first documents I've read. And this is something that you have to understand if you're going to be dealing with negotiable instruments. This is definitely a must read. The very first chapter gets into an explanation of what legal fictions are, natural law principles, your perception of things, how you need to change, how you need to have a paradigm shift in your understanding of how commerce is conducted. Fictions, the section on fictions is real good. Lon Fuller has a book on legal fictions. You should pick that up. That's the foremost authority on legal fictions, which is what your straw man is. Your straw man is a legal fiction. Corporations are legal fictions. That's another name for a corporation, or what you call an artificial person. It's a legal fiction. And the definition of a legal fiction is an assumption that something is true, even though it may be untrue, and especially in judicial reasoning to alter how legal rule operates. And that essentially leads you to believe that they're trying to deceive you in some kind of way, which is exactly what is happening. They're allowed to construe something in a way that you didn't intend it to be. That's why you have to be very precise. Law is a science, and you have to learn. And that's what you always hear me talking about. You have to be very precise. A lot of you go into court, you don't have any evidence supporting what y'all took the bank didn't really loan me any money, and you go into court and they make you look like a fool because you have no evidence to substantiate anything that you're saying. You don't have an expert witness or someone who has audited the bank, like a CPA or something that audited the bank, that can bring in these documents and prove that. You have no evidence. You just come in saying it, and they make you look like a clown. And then they put the court case on the internet, and then somebody sends me a copy of it. Say, look at this. This is what you're teaching over here. No, that's not what I'm teaching. That's a goddamn fool. Anytime they put anybody in the public and make it look like this is what they're saying in the court. I have my bond. I got it with the Secretary of Treasury, made an agreement. They put all that shit. It's a private remedy. It shouldn't even be in the public. Shouldn't even be in the public. But this is what they do. It's what they do. It's just incredible. It's incredible to me. Somebody always just send that to me. They send me a case, so many cases. I'm like, wow, you're crazy. You're trying to go to court and get some money. Like this guy sent me some guy trying to get $10 million. So I give him $10 million out of his Treasury Direct account. You up in court talking about this shit. You sound like a damn fool. You think you're going to go to court and they're going to establish some case law where you got $10 million out of your Treasury Direct account? You got to be the biggest fucking idiot, not just on planet Earth, in this solar system, but they're extraterrestrials and things like that. You're a damn fool. I can only think two different things about you. Either you are a plant and you're trying to intentionally put some bad case law out there to make all this look bad to get people to stop what they're doing, or you're stupid as fuck. You're stupid. I'm telling you, you're stupid. These people will never. I had a friend that worked for the police, and he told me this. He said if they acknowledge any of this, they would be admitting that they're involved in slavery. Why would they admit that? Why would they admit? Why you say give me proof? There's no case laws to prove any of this. If you prove it, that's an admittance that they're involved in slavery. Think. It's incredible. Let's read this real quick. I like this right here. Let's read this. It says, attitudes and actions. Now that we have some idea of the challenge we must face by living in the world today, we can use the understanding to help formulate solutions. Ideally, success involves 4 elements, which are in largely chronological sequence. Number 1, knowing and living who you are, your true self, convictions, and creed. Number 2, articulating properly. Do you see that word right there, articulating properly? Articulating properly in documents that define who and what you are with a witness, a notary. A notary is a witness. Don't have to be a notary, but you need witnesses. If you're not going to use a notary, use 2 witnesses. Number 3, noticing and securing confirmation from those who you would like to acknowledge your true self and standing. That's what everybody, these are processes that people are coming out with. You got to notice these people. I don't care what process you use. You have to use a secure party process. Nobody's saying that. I wish y'all stopped asking me that. Do I have to be a secure party before I can just, no, I said no to that question for the last 10 years. You can go and listen to my audios. For the last 10 years, people have been asking me that fucking question. Do I have to be a secure party before I can discharge some debt? And I say shit over. I always come back with the same question. You need a bank account to pay your rent. No, you can go to the check cashing place and do it like that. We're talking about banking. Defending your position in adversarial encounters with the system, both in the field and in court. You need to be able to stand on what you're saying. The following are some practical ideas concerning actualizing effective strategy. Number 1, the most important thing is knowledge and understanding of what is happening. Therefore, the first priority is get educated. There's no substitute for this, especially in the climate in which we now live. In the celebrated words of Thomas Jefferson, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never can be. First and foremost, getting educated requires knowing yourself, who and what you are, becoming clear, confident, and establishing yourself and real being. And the only way you can do that is through knowledge. You can't come into the door with these processes and look for a quick fix. There are no quick fixes. You have to know it. I can't go to court with you. Once you know it, you ain't got to ask me if this is real or not. You'll know. And then you can look people in the face and come and say this is ridiculous, and you can tell the same thing. Man, don't get the fuck out of my face. What are you, agent? Let's get the lights up to 200. Let's go to the Nature and Times. All right, let's look at number 2. The Nature and Times is escalating the time is imperative to make one's spiritual life paramount. Here we go. What do you always hear me saying? All of us who are high level with this information all come to the same conclusion. There's some sort of spiritual warfare going on. Once you reach a certain height with this information, it just naturally goes into spiritual. I say, man, there's some type of spiritual war going on. Increasingly, the state of the world is communicating the message that the only way out is in. You got to look inside. Stop looking for a remedy outside yourself. It don't exist. Ain't nobody coming to save you. There's no piece of paper saving you. Yusufel is not saving you. Only person can save you is you. Nobody give a fuck you paid money. You go ahead and tell everybody, yo, I paid for this, and it didn't work. Listen, man. They talk about, somebody just said Yusufel. Everybody knows Yusufel is chasing Federal Reserve notes. Yeah, you need Federal Reserve. You are too. You either got a job or something like that. You're just mad. I'm not chasing nothing. I attract whatever I need. I don't chase a goddamn thing. You're just mad you're too weak in your masculinity to draw into your life what you need as a man. Because you was a real man would never make a statement like that. A real man is never looking at what another man is doing monetarily or financially. He's especially not commenting on the fact that he's receiving something from other grown-ass people who are making their own decisions. It goes on. Living in accordance with the understanding that cultivated and realized in our inner being, namely spiritual awakening and realization, is more important, enduring, and conducive to providing us with the happiness, peace, and fulfillment that alone will satisfy the heart and soul than anything we can see, do, experience, or have in the outside world. We all have 2 wars to win and opponents with which to deal. Number 1, ourselves, namely obtaining self-mastery, and number 2, a hostile, deceitful, and treacherous world. If we do not win the internal battle and become clear about what we are and how and why we want to live, relate to others, and deal with the system, we have no hope of winning in encounters with the ruthless aggression to which we are relentlessly subjected. And what that means is, where's your covenant? Where's your covenant with God? I can just give you a succinct answer that. What's your covenant with? What's your spirituality? If you claiming that you are a Muslim, okay, well, you got a covenant with Allah. Okay, how did you decide? What's your deen? What's your deen that you're on? If you're with God, what's your covenant? Oh, you're in the New Testament? Are you saying you ain't under the laws? Jesus didn't say that. Matthew 5:17. He didn't say that. He did not say that. If you're a Christian, you keep saying that bullshit. All right? I'm here to cut up lies. I'm here to destroy lies. Go get your preacher. Have a nigga call in. Go get him. I don't care if you got 20 fucking thousand members. Go get him and tell him to look over here and have him call in. So we put his ass on blast, telling all these lies. Lies. We under the grace of Jesus Christ. We under the blood of Jesus. He died for our sins. And that took us out of, all this all right here, this rhetoric. Just nothing but a way you can say, I'm too weak, I'm irresponsible, and, all the sins that I do. This is what they're really saying. I'm not responsible for nothing. I'm just not responsible for anything I do. I'm saved. We can look at the definition of saved in Mark too. We'll look at that too. Let's look at this real quick. Let's see what he said. Matthew 5:17. He said, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say to you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot and one tittle, in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever there shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Now, here's the thing about it. They'll say, well, everything was completed when he was on the cross. Why is he coming back? Why does he say, I have many things to tell you, but I got to send a comforter? Why does he tell you all these things got to come back? Why we got the book of Revelations if everything was fulfilled? Stop lying. Everything ain't fulfilled. You're still under the law. The law is still applicable. That was Jesus right there. They'll run and go get a scripture from Paul. Paul was against the law. Paul was against the law in Romans. He said, the law is what creates sin. That's what sin means, to go against the law. That's why Paul came with his doctrine. Okay, we get rid of sin, get rid of the law. Let's give you some grace. Let's keep reading. Number 3, in the absence of self-realization, we live at the expense of life. We expend time, effort, and energy attempting to acquire things in the outside world, the essence and origin of which we do not possess in our own being and consciousness. In such case, we lose the roots and cling to the treetops, where our platform of operation is ungrounded and ephemeral. Ephemeral means temporary. What that means is this: you can't have what you got to be that what you wish to become. If you want money, you can't get money unless you have a wealth consciousness. You can't possess anything that's not a part of your being. That's what it means. You're clinging to the treetops, the leaves, but you ain't in the roots. You're trying to acquire things that are not part of your being. The first step in anything is that you got to get your consciousness together. That's even with this information right here. You want to discharge debt, you got to believe that discharging debt is real. You can't, I'm going to discharge debt because you used to told me to. Thank you, Holy Honey. Appreciate that. Number 4, live to be free of blame. Where blame is defined as blocking someone's way without just ethical cause. As it is said, for blocking no one's way, no one blames him. If you do not interfere in people's lives, you will not incur the repercussions for doing so, thereby immunizing yourself from having to deal with the entangling and undesirable consequences of your actions. You are the one responsible for your actions. You, not no one else, not me, not no one else. You got the problem. You are the one that's responsible for it. That's why in the feds, they got acceptance of responsibility. I understand why the feds got that. Because motherfuckers be in denial. They go sell dope, do crime, and try to fight it, knowing you guilty. They give you up to 3 points for acceptance of responsibility. Are you going to accept this? Because the only reason you are in this courtroom right now is because of your thoughts brought you to this point. Nobody, the dude who told on you didn't put you there. Nobody, you put yourself there. You put yourself on that pathway to end up right where you were at based off of your thought that you had a year, 2 years ago or something like that. You're seeing the result of the thoughts that you had. Nobody else is responsible for that. And until you accept that, what I'm saying right there, nothing is going to change for the better in your life. You're going to continually be insane in a continuous cycle of things happening to you. You blaming outside circumstances, and then that blaming of outside circumstances create more causes that create more effects, and you're on a hamster wheel, never going anywhere until you get to the source and root cause of it, which is you. Know thyself, and to thyself be true. They got y'all with this victim mindset. That victim mindset shit is from Satan. That's a satanic philosophy. I'm a victim. What about babies? You trying to say somebody raped? If I say, yeah, oh, this is ridiculous. It's the law. You can bring up whatever scenario you want. You may not understand how it came down to that, but the law is the law. The law is not a respecter of person. The law don't care about how you feel about something. We have to be hard with this. Let's keep going. Got to be hard. These are tough truths. All right. So that's number 4. Don't get anybody's way. What is that? Ain't that how we sovereigns? You can do anything you want as long as you don't what? Infringe on anybody else's rights? Don't steal. That's why you have the laws. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Y'all talking about being sovereigns, man. This is just where we be killing me. Y'all be constantly blaming the government. The government is a reflection of the people. The people are apathetic. The people are immoral. That's why you got all that going on into the government right now. I can understand why they up there don't give a fuck and they just going for self. They up there they doing money grabs up there. And like, look at these people out here, man. You want me to go ahead and fall on the sword for one of these people? I don't think so. I think I'll enrich myself and my family and keep it moving. That's the attitude. Y'all better educate yourself this election and stop falling for that bullshit they come out with. If you fall for that same bullshit they do every 4 years, if the word racism or systemic racism come out of anybody's mouth in politics, y'all need to motherfucking kick that motherfucker to the curb. Y'all need to start throwing rocks at that motherfucker on stage. Y'all need to kill that. Look, let's talk about some real issues. Why the fuck do we got $31 trillion? How the hell y'all bail out all the banks and we still got mortgages? How did that happen? Y'all paid all these defaulted loans that they got, but they still get money from my ass. Simple questions. You ain't gonna put the press on them, though. You ain't gonna put the press on them. You ain't gonna put the, you gonna talk about some dumb shit. You know, Trump felt on somebody's ass. I don't give a fuck Trump felt on somebody's ass. Oh, I mean, it felt on some ass, had some pussy or something. What's wrong with you? You think any president ain't getting some pussy? So what? I could care less. You know, I wonder, okay, how you run. Get out the man's bedroom. You talking about racist. I ain't seen nothing this man did. Trump was never called racist till he became president. Never. Everybody in the hip-hop community loved him. Everybody. But the power of the media. And then you ask somebody, well, what do he do that's racist? Nobody can name shit. Well, okay, right. Well, what do he do? What do he do? What do he do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, what do he do that was racist? He give money to historical black colleges. He was doing all kinds of things. He made reforms on the prison system. But Biden came in first day, took back that that historical black college fund, started changing, took back everything, and gas prices went straight up. When Trump was in office, gas prices were the lowest that it ever been in about 20 damn years. And he was the first president that was in office, and we weren't in a war nowhere on planet Earth. None of our sons and daughters were getting killed over some corporate bullshit over in another country. Don't have nothing to do with the welfare of our country. Right now, they're sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine. Go check the nationality of the president of Ukraine. Don't believe me? Check it out. Interesting. They talk about the New York 8. You know, I always talk, you want me to read that article? Let's read that article of the New York 8, that Central Park thing. I'm glad somebody broke that up. Some shit that happened 30 years ago. You want somebody to judge you for some shit you did 30 years ago, even though it wasn't racist, but you want somebody, because you can tell this person right here, you're doing some shit. Somebody, let's read this article that Trump put in the paper. They just saw these people be lying, y'all. They say, you know, Trump was racist. Let's read the article about what happened to Trump ad New York. What is it? New York 8? What was it? Ad he put in when he said it was. He said, let's read. Let's see. Y'all tell me if this is racist. Y'all tell me if this is racist. Y'all tell me if this is racist. This is what he said. Is this it right here? Let me see. Let me see if this is it. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I don't think that's it. Hold on. Where's that ad? Ad Central Park. What was that? Central Park. Central. I think it was what? It was the New York Central Park murders. He put an ad in the paper, something. Yeah, this right here. Bring back the death penalty. All right, yeah, that's it right here. Let's read that. Trump will not apologize for calling for death penalty over Central Park. So, okay, here are all the people. Where they at now? I want y'all people right now, raise your hand if you think Trump is a racist. I want you to raise your hand, because that's what this one of the fun things y'all always talk about, this Central Park 5. You talking to a person, I investigate everything. I investigate everything. See, a lot of this shit is predicated off the fact that nobody does research. Y'all just regurgitate and repeat some shit some other motherfuckers say. So that's like you ain't nothing but a fucking robot, all right? Because you don't go and check out nothing. You live in an age where you have, on the internet, you have access to anything, and your lazy ass, because most of y'all don't read. That's what it is. That's why I make money. I mean, nobody no use of it chasing money. Nah, I read, dude. I read, and I make money off people who don't want to read. That's all it is. That's all it is. People don't want to read. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. Don't get mad at me. I put everything out. I tell you what to read, where to go, everything. Here's where the information is. You find it right here, find it there. All right, let's bring the death penalty back. All right, let's see if we can blow this up a little bit. Let me see if I can blow this up. Let's read this. Let's read this. Read this. Let's see what they were talking about on this. What is this shit right here, man? They're trying to make me damn buy some shit, man. The New York Times, y'all talking about New York Times always doing something, man. New York Times wants you to get a subscription to read anything on their damn. Let's look at it. All right. They mad about this New York. Damn. They making it hard to read this ad, man. Every website I'm going to, they want you to pay some money to read this ad. Just to read this article. This is crazy. Let's see if I can pull it up right here. damn. I mean, if it's so bad, I'm trying to figure out why is it so hard to read this damn article, man. I'm like, okay, I got all this stuff on here. I'm trying to read the article. Go on the internet and see if y'all can pull it up. That's crazy. It's like, I know it's one I'm gonna find though. They don't never have all their bases covered. Let's see if I can pull it up right here. You see what they're doing? How all the art they keep talking about it, but they're making it hard for you to read the actual ad. You try to pull it up and read it. All right, let's see if this might work right here. Let's see if I can I blow it up some? Let's see if I can blow it up. Let's see if I can blow it up. Nope. Can't blow it up right there. Let's see if I can find it. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you can't read it. You know what I'm saying? Just like with the Hitler's Men Cop. You know, they talk about that book and everything. When you go and read it, you're like, hey, what are they talking about? This is not talking about what they're talking about. Let's see if I can get it right here. Because I just read this thing, and it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. I just read this thing too, man. See right here, if you go right here and try to pull it up right here, this is New York Times. New York Times wants you to get a, you see what I'm saying? They want you to get, let me see if I can still read it and everything. Let's see if I can pull it up. They got it blocked out. See, they got it blocked out. They want you to get a subscription, read it on theirs. I'm like, well, if this is so, why they don't want people to, this is Guardian right here. You know, they leftist organization. So is New York Times. They all owned by liberals. All these newspapers are owned by liberals. I'm gonna use that word liberal instead of the other word I want to use. Let me see if this, let me see if I pull it up right here. Okay. Y'all see this? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? You know, it's like, why, if this is so racist, when you want people to read it, when you want people to have easy access to actually read what the article is talking about. You see what I'm saying right here? When you want to have easy access for people to read it. I'm just looking. Let me see if I can put simplymurder.pdf. Let me see if I pull a PDF. Nope, can't enlarge it. Cannot enlarge it. I'm tripping on this. I usually find it. Somebody find one that you can read. Put it in the chat so I can read it.
Yo, peace to whoever's still rocking. I just had to take a phone call, so I kind of wasn't listening. But I'm not going to rewind it. I'll probably go back on my own stream and rewatch like the 10 minutes I missed a little bit later. But I'm gonna keep watching. So, yeah.
Put in Central Park order. Put it in there. Trump will not apologize. New York Times, Central Park 5, the True Story. This is the BBC. They just like the damn New York Times and everything. And so they called him racist. I don't want to stay too long on this, but I'm tripping on. I can't even read it. You can't find nothing on here where you can actually read. I can get it right here. Let's see. I'm gonna try to get it right here. It says, what happened to our city over the past 10 years? What has happened to law and order, to the neighborhood cop we all trusted to safeguard our homes and families? The cop who had the power of the law to help us in times of danger, keep us safe from those who would prey on innocent lives to fulfill some distorted inner need. What has happened to the respect for authority, the fear of retribution by the courts, society, and the police for those who break the law, who wantonly trespass on the rights of others? What has happened is a complete breakdown of life as we knew it. Many New York families, white, black, Hispanic, and Asian. That don't sound racist to me. Many New York families, white, black, Hispanic, and Asian, have had to give up the pleasure of a leisurely stroll in the park at dusk, the Saturday visit to the playground with their families, the bike ride at dawn, or just sitting on their stoops, giving them up as hostages to a world ruled by the law of the streets, as roving bands of wild criminals roam our neighborhoods, dispensing their own vicious brand of twisted hatred on whomever they encounter. At what point did we cross the line from the fine and noble pursuit of genuine civil liberties, the reckless and dangerously permissive atmosphere which allows criminals of every age to beat and rape a helpless, they got this thing, okay, which allows criminals of every age to beat and rape a helpless woman and then laugh at her family's anguish. And why do they laugh? They laugh because they know that soon, very soon, there'll be I can't see that, return to the streets to rape and maim and kill once again and yet face no great personal risk to themselves. Mayor Koch has stated that hate and rancor should be removed from our hearts. I do not think so. I want to hate these muggers and murderers. They should be forced to suffer, and they should be forced to suffer. And when they kill, they should be executed for their crimes. They must serve as examples to, so that others will think long and hard before committing a crime or an act of violence. Yes, Mayor Koch, I want to hate these murderers, and I always will. I'm not looking to psychoanalyze or understand them. I am looking to punish them. If the punishment is strong, the attacks on innocent people will stop. I recently watched a newscast trying to explain the anger in these young men. I no longer want to understand their anger. I want them to understand our anger. I want them to be afraid. How can our great society tolerate the continued brutalization of its citizens by crazed misfits? Criminals must be told that their civil liberties end when an attack on our safety begins. When I was young, I sat in a diner with my father, witnessed two young bullies cursing and threatening a very frightened waitress. Two cops rushed in, lifted up New York's finest once gave to the citizens of the city. Let our politicians give back our police departments power to keep us safe. Unshackle them from the constant chant of police brutality, which every petty criminal hurls immediately at an officer who has just risked his or her life to save another. We must cease our continuous pandering to the criminal population of the city. Give New York back to the citizens who have earned the right to be New Yorkers. Send a message loud and clear to those who would murder our citizens and terrorize New York. Bring back the death penalty and bring back our police. Okay, what the fuck about that was racist? I didn't see anything in there racist. I saw somebody who wanted to take a tough stance on crime. We can see that crime exists. I lived in the criminal underworld. I know it exists. You can't tell me it don't exist. I was part of the criminal underworld. Crime exists. There's somebody on my last video, they posted the link to something that just happened. I don't know what city it happened in, where a lady knocked on somebody's door, a white lady shot her. She asked me, is this racist? I'm like, no, that's a murderer. The white lady was a murderer. But I want you to have the same energy every time black people kill black people. Our people kill black people. I'll go up to Chicago right now. Why don't you have that same energy? Why don't you have that same disgust and detest? Why don't you detest that, what's going on when we kill each other? What's racist about that article? Anybody that sound racist? That sound racist. That's talking about, and he was speaking in general terms. He wasn't directly talking about those five. He's talking about anyone who murders another person. You had that in the Bible, in the Old Testament. You murdered someone, you got the death penalty. You murdered someone, it was the death penalty. They still give you the death penalty when they give you life. Life in prison is the death penalty. They call it civil death. Go look up death in a Black's Law Dictionary. Come on, man. What's racist about this article? See, nobody has read it. Nobody took the time to read it just like that. Nobody reads anything. I'm reading that, I'm like, I don't see that that's racist. He's talking about you kill somebody, you should be killed. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's in the Bible. That will, and you wonder why? Because the liberals, they don't want that. They want crime. You see it right now, these Democrats, they want crime. This was just the beginning back then. They're the ones that's pushing crime. They want this uptick in crime because they're trying to bring in chaos. Because out of chaos, out of order, out of chaos. They're trying to bring in a new world order, so they want chaos. So they soft on crime. They let people out of jail, all kinds of stuff. Which I do think a lot of people get too much time. I think that anyone, if you're selling dope, this is my thinking on selling dope. If you sell dope and you recall, they give you 5 years, and you come out and do the same thing, you're asking for it. I think 5 years is enough time to sit somebody down and make them seriously reconsider their life. If you can't really seriously reconsider your life after doing 5 years in prison, and you go back and do the same exact thing and you get caught, hey, you get thrown to the wolves. That's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, I said, man, you did 5 years, that wasn't enough? You didn't think, you already see what the life is like. Well, you like being here with all these men? I don't know what else to say. You need to think, and there's plenty, and it's definitely not an excuse if you're in the feds, because you're in the feds, you're around millionaires, real estate developers, stock market people, you're around all kinds of people, but you don't want to do that because you don't want to take the time to sit down and talk to these people. You want to play basketball, lift weights, talk shit, get on the phone and things like that, and spend all your time doing that instead of using that time to rehabilitate yourself and come out with a plan where you can come out into society and change your life. Let's talk about the truth now. You can't come to me with that shit. You can't come to that racist shit, man. I want to hear that shit. Ain't nothing like that. You wait till somebody get killed. Something happened to you. My grandfather was murdered. The people who murdered my grandfather got 7 years. Black dudes did it. When the white people did it. That racist shit. I was talking about racist. Fuck out of here with that. Or Western supremacists. What is Donald Trump trying to bring back industry to the United States? You don't have no manufacturing here. You get every fucking thing from China. What the fuck you don't understand? Why is you getting everything to the Chinese? Why you ain't saying nothing about them giving these billions of dollars to the Ukraine? And do you understand that when they give money to another country, that's your children got to pay it back in taxes, that you're paying it back when you go to work and they take 33% out of your check? Don't you understand that? You don't understand that shit? What the fuck is wrong with you? You don't understand that? Simple. It's simple. You paying that back. It's just gossip. That's all it is. These people just gossip and they hate. You got a lot of people, citizens, they just hate. They embrace hate. Just as soon as they hear the word racist, they want to jump up. And I can be honest with you, man. My entire life, I had one. I'm gonna tell you something. This is the most racist thing that ever happened to me in life. And there's been a couple of things. I can probably count on two hands all the racist incidents that's happened to me in my life. But the very first time I had an encounter with a racist, when I was like, probably about 7 years old, where this guy was throwing rocks into. That's another thing. I came out the hood, and I that fucking victim shit. Other than to pick up some packs or do some fraud or do something like that, we need mentors in the community to show our young men that there's another way. They only think the only way out of the hood is you got to pick up a basketball, pick up a football, slang some dope, or do some fraud. First year I have it. Okay, I have everything. Anything I removed off there, I'm putting everything back. All right, so let's go. It says, and why are you asking me a question about that? We're talking about this right now. We're talking about, stay focused on this. Stay focused on this right here. That if I'm teaching you something, I'm trying to give you something, that is important. You got to have principles that you operate by. A traffic court audio is not going to help you. I mean, you can repeat exactly what somebody else says and it'll work for them and it won't work for you. Because you know what? It's a part of their being. I can listen to that audio in traffic court and I can listen to that young man and tell that he's a part of him. He knows he can. And every time the judge shoots something back at him, yeah, can you do that? Because it's not a part of you. When I first started off on this, I was regurgitating what somebody else said. And this right here is going to be the information. I'm going to show it to you next. It says, stay in your own domain. If you do not traverse your adversary's turf, you do not create a nexus between you and them that allows the system to engulf you. Accomplishing this includes becoming clear about the nature of private and public. There you go. Accomplishing this includes. There it is right here. You see this, y'all? Right here. Accomplishing this includes becoming clear about the nature of private and public and when and how you're acting in which domain. If you leave your ground of substance reality, which is the private side, and sovereignty, and go into their domain of illusion, treachery, and deceit, which is the public side, because everything in the public operates through artificial entities, your situation is hopeless. By doing so, you abandon the position where you have clout and they have none. All your powers in the private side. The superior man stays in his own domain. In favor of going into a realm where they have all the power and you have none. The public side is their gain and their property, not yours. So you have no standing rights and power there. Your body is real and came first into the world before any fictitious version of your given private name or any birth certificate or other document can be derived by the system to use for its betterment and to your detriment. Be careful. Number 6, be careful never to reach a point where you think you know enough or you have had it all figured out. As soon as you think you have it, you've had it. I need to repeat that for all you smart guys out there think you know everything. There's a maximum law that says many men know many things, no man knows everything. Understand number 7, understand as much of the law and the practice thereof as possible in terms of universal principles that I'm constantly teaching. Whoever wrote this right here was extremely intelligent. Because I reached a lot of these conclusions on my own. It says understand as much of the law and the practice thereof as possible in terms of universal principles that transcend and are more fundamental than the system's concoctions. Right? Man's law is a subset and derives from principles that are more fundamental than and endure beyond all in human imagining. The further removed from universal principles we are, the more unstable and unreliable is our position. The observation of Emerson is apt. As to methods, there may be millions and then some, but the principles are few. The man who grasps principles can successfully select his own methods. The man who tries methods that go in principles is sure to have trouble. And that's what we have out here. We got a whole bunch of process people looking for a process, looking for a remedy. Somebody said, you think about people that remedy. Ask them, what is a remedy? You don't even know what the fuck a remedy is. How the fuck you know I'm kicking somebody out of SPC, my group, to have a remedy? Everybody posting shit, you want a remedy, inbox me. Nigga, you got a group to share information. Not for you come and try to pilfer people out of my group. Soon as I see that shit, I'm booting your ass out. I don't give a fuck what you know. Check. What likes that? 311, okay, we rolling. Number 8, change your thinking. If the thinking/perceiving ruts in which you have been confined and alter, revise, expand them. Cast your net on the other side of the boat if you're not catching any fish on the side where you're having therefore been fishing. You know how we put the principle of that? The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. If you're doing something that's not working for you, why do you keep doing it? Why keep doing the same thing? The laws of see, that's why if you had an education in natural law principles, you would understand that. You're like, what I'm doing this is not working. Let me try something. Let me alter or modify it a bit. You don't even have to alter or modify it a lot. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You got guys out here, they make ad copy. And they charge like $40,000, $50,000 to write you an email. Because the email is going to make you a lot of money. Let me tell you, there's a science to marketing. I've experienced this firsthand. I used to market for real estate investing. I could make an ad and send it out, and I get a response. And I try to tweak it. I might change up 2 words in it, and then send it back out and get no responses. change it back and get the same exact response. That's how marketing is. You can change 2 words in something and fuck up your whole marketing. Because any change you make, things are going to change. If you keep doing the same, if you're making $50,000 a month and you're doing something a certain way, if you keep doing it that exact same way, you'll keep making $50,000 a month. It's called a system. That's why business is operating on system. Because business follows the principle of what? Cause and effect. All science follows the principle of cause and effect. It's the basis, underlying principle of science. Let me try this. Did it work? Try this, try this, try this. Process of elimination until you find something that works. And when you find something that works, just keep doing it. And they'll keep doing the same thing. That's why you have a mentor. Do what I do and you'll get what I get. Why would you keep doing the same process and the shit don't work? Do something different. Eliminate everything. They said, why do you put up the Douglas Riddle video? I put it up because that shit may come around and work again. It works for somebody. Somebody will figure something out. It might not work for you and your negative ass. Number 9, never assume. Don't take anything they say or do at face value. Dig for the facts and substantiation in law for what you do. In the words of Gilbert and Sullivan, things aren't always what they seem. Skim milk masquerades as cream. Number 10, create a paper trail and public record concerning as many aspects of it as possible. This includes executing documents that articulate and declare your rights, identity, and standing there by shifting the burden of proof on those who would deprive you of them. Establish and notice the proper parties of your position, sending color copies of your documents preferably dispatched by a notary with a notarial certificate of service. Now, let me tell you about this. They are supposed to, when you make a statement of fact with an affidavit, they're supposed to rebut it, and they don't. This is the corruption. This is where the corruption comes in the system. I hope all you public servants out there, because that's what you are. You're trying to maintain a corrupt system by running over the rights of the people you're supposed to be representing. And the only reason that you're doing that is because so many people are ignorant of what is going on. They watch too much motherfucking CNN knows. Create a paper trail. Does it say, oh, I just gotta notice the governor? No, you notice as many people as you can. Don't ask me who do I send this to. Send it to every fucking body. Send it to the sheriff. Send it to the mayor. Send it to the governor. Send it to the president of the United States. Somebody gonna get the message. None of this is written in stone. Here we go. Yusuf. Number 11. Whenever you are out and about, carry correctly colored pens with you, as well as postage stamps, rubber stamps, text of various things to say in emergency context, and notarized colored copies of crucial right asserting documents. Be prepared. Number 12. Collect dictionaries, perhaps all you can. Don't ask me what's the best dictionary. See, I read this when I first started. That's why people tell me, what dictionary should I get? I read this. This was one of the first documents I read. So I can understand why people say, well, should I get a 4th edition, or should I get, Valentine's or Bouvier's? I got dictionaries. I got shelves of dictionaries. You suppose everybody should have a library in your house. How can you have a home and you ain't got books or a bookshelf in your home? Every place I move, I got a bookshelf right here I'm looking at right now. Every place I live, anybody can tell you, come to my house, I got a bookshelf with books. That's a part of my furniture. I buy couches, I buy tables, I buy beds, and I buy a bookshelf. Everywhere I go, I'm in Dallas right now. I got a place in Dallas and Atlanta. Bookshelves at both of them. Collect dictionaries, perhaps all you can, both regular and law. Words are the weapons of this game. By understanding the meaning and legal significance of words, you will not only have revealed to you what your strategy and tactics can be to win when writing your documents. All legal documents are paper soldiers for fighting win-lose battles in a legal setting, but communicate in their language. The official dictionary is in the U.S. is Bouvier's. They won't tell you this because of so many options available to you revealed in that law dictionary. Also, get the Oxford Unabridged Dictionary available in diamond print with a magnifying glass for the extensive etymology of words. That's when I got the Oxford Unabridged Dictionary. Also in that dictionary is all you people out there talking about black as a status. That's because you get faulty research. That dictionary right there is what you do. Get that. That's a real dictionary. I see all over the place where people do raggedy research. Black is not a status. It's not no status. I don't know why I keep saying that shit. It's not a status. It's not a status like that. It's not. Let me tell you, in today's world, it's not. In today's world, we have a class. We in classism now. That shit y'all talking about is in the 1800s, early 1900s, or some shit like that. That don't exist no more. That don't exist no more. That don't exist. You either have money or you don't. You either work for somebody, you either have your own business, or you work for somebody who does have their own business. Let me see that again. Collect dictionaries, perhaps all you can, both regular and law. Words are the weapons of this game. By understanding the meaning and legal significance of words, you not only have revealed to you what your strategy and tactics can be to win when writing your documents. All legal documents are paper soldiers for fighting win/lose battles in a legal setting, but communicate in their language. The official dictionary in the U.S. is Bouvier's. They won't tell you this because of the so many options available to you revealed in that law dictionary. Also, get the Oxford Unabridged Dictionary available in diamond print with a magnifying glass for the extensive etymology of words. Understand as much as you can about the nature of the system as possible so you can use it to your advantage. This should include spending time in court, observing diverse proceedings, paying attention to the interaction between attorneys and judges so you can perceive more clearly how the system functions to baffle the people. Number 14, capitalize on the mentality of bureaucrats and what they understand, feel comfortable with, and offer you in the way of procedural options. They all go by procedures. If you relate to them in this manner, you do not act outside the bounds of their job description and do not put them in the wrong. At the same time, you secure their cooperation and let them do what they are familiar with, such as sending you documents or clarification to which you are statutorily entitled, which they often tell you in their correspondence, such as under this or that act, you're entitled to such and so. Don't confront them with anything hostile or outside their niche and mentality, and certainly do not require them to think.
Yo, I literally got over 100 mangoes. I got over 100 mangoes. This shit's crazy.
Because they don't think. They do what they're told. Bureaucrats do what they're told. They don't think. You ask these people to think. Appreciate that, Marjorie Parker. Appreciate that, 50 bones. Appreciate them 50 bones. Appreciate that. Number 15 says, since the bureaucrats' reality is what exists in their computers, don't fill out any more forms than you have to. This is privacy we're talking about. And don't answer return questionnaires. Your answers get cross-referenced in innumerable computers. can be used to assemble a profile on you and everything about you, and are often sold to marketing agencies so that you are flooded with unwanted offers and fed into the system's database as more food for the beast to consume and use against you. What is advisable to do is live your life as privately and off the radar as possible and put out information you want bureaucrats to believe and hence act on as the truth about you and your activities. Include information on your computers that lead them on rabbit trails away from you and your freedom. Now, you're going to see this when you get your private trust classes, what they teach. Attorney teach this right here. Attorney wrote the document I teach my stuff off of. He said, the whole thing is, the more somebody knows about you, the more they can get at you. Why are you giving people information about you? You have a right to privacy. That's a right. "16. Play different agencies and aspects of the system against each other. The system is not homogeneous. Most agencies and departments are very territorial, desiring to have as much exclusivity of power as possible to themselves without having to share power with other aspects of the system, so as to compromise their ability to function autonomous as possible." Now, this right here is becoming a problem because the same group of people is now becoming the head of all these agencies. So this right here, where at one time it was real, but now they are becoming homogeneous because it's the same group of people in the head of all these departments. And y'all just sit back, calling them all white people, like a damn fool. And the takeover is happening right in front of your eyes. I got to be the only black man on the internet saying this. Got plenty of people saying it on BitChute. Go to BitChute. You put in, just put Jew in the search engine of BitChute. See everything that come up. It's all on BitChute. Everybody's over there talking about it. They're not talking about it on YouTube. The YouTube, they scrape the entire YouTube of everything. Anything that could possibly lead you to what I'm talking about has been scraped off. "17. Accept and return for value all presentments. When you can, use autographed postage stamps on your documents and have them sent to their destination by your notary. Number 18. Every time you ever mail anything, including having a notary mail things on your behalf, put postage stamps on the envelope. Do not mail by use of the red meter postage. Whenever you take an item into a post office and needs postage and ask the teller to put postage on, they run it through the meter stamp. Do not allow this. You need the council stamp for clout. It has as a binding obligation on the U.S. government and not the red ink meter, the use of which means the item is not canceled and mail fraud is involved. 19. In addition to use a notary, such thing as embassy seals can work wonders. Reception is reality. Many bureaucrats and officials, upon seeing embassy seals, apostilles, etc., back off immediately, possibly because they think they might be tampering with matters beyond their knowledge and jurisdiction and thereby risking some kind of problem for themselves. That is true. That's why when you come to my class, I try to make everything look as official as possible. The look of your documents is important. The grammar that you use, everything, the kind of paper that you put it on. I remember when they asked me for a corporate resolution before I got my corporate lease in this apartment that I'm in, and I went all out. I went and got me some bond paper, typed it up, put seals on, my corporate seals on it, made it look official. When I put it, and I hand delivered it to them and put it on her desk. She approved my apartment within the hour. I didn't even make it all the way home. Her apartment is approved. Reception is reality. If you present yourself as a professional in everything you do, you'll be treated as such. Go to court with a suit on. I'll never go to court without a suit. If I got some serious thing going in court, I got a suit, man. I go to court in a suit. You ain't no tennis shoes in court. I got a briefcase with me. One time I came to court so clean that when I was walking in, in the morning you walk in, the attorneys, they don't have to go through the metal detector. They let me go in with the attorneys. I tripped out. I was like, well, I had a briefcase with me, I don't know, the dark blue suit, suited and booted. I was clean, extra clean, having nods on, my specs and everything. Walking in, come on, sir. You'll be amazed at what your appearance, your presentation, how far just that alone will take you. Just that alone will take you. I remember, I'll tell you a little story. My aunt, she's a doctor. She told me this. She told me she watched my channel. So, Amy, I'm going to tell this story because she told me this. It's when I was in a custody battle with my ex-wife, and she was trying to put me in jail for something. I did some crazy stuff to some guy she was dating. I want to talk about that, but anyway, no, that wasn't it. That was something else. That was it was like some custody stuff, and she was trying to say some negative. She painted this picture to me to the judge of everything about me was negative. So my aunt told me at this time I entered in school in college, and I was on the dean's list, and I had a 4.0 GPA, and I was on the dean's list. I was like probably number 30 something on the dean's list. There's a lot of smart people. I couldn't believe so many people in front of me. Like, God damn, every time the dean's list came out, I got 30 fucking people have a higher GPA than me. But I went and she said, just take your grades to the judge. That's all I did. I took my grades up there to the judge, and she was saying all this negative stuff about me. I told the judge that I paid I was paying child support. I wasn't behind on child support. I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. And I handed the judge my grades, and the judge looked at her and said, ma'am, this is not the man you're describing. Because, they all try to use that violent shit, or use some abusive, or something like that. I'm like, I'm sitting there, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm sitting there, because, it's a war, and I know to get the custody of the children, you got to be, in some kind of way, you're always going to get painted like that. That victim stuff they're going to use. So that's all I did. I just took my grades up there, and they said, no, this is not the man you're talking about, because that talks about my character. That says a lot about me as a person. That means that I have a standard of excellence, that I work hard, that I'm not spending my time out on the street doing bullshit, that I'm working towards something. Say your GPA was in the negative. I remember, man, I made a B, man, finally. That hurt me. I made a B, man. I was ready to quit after that, man. They gave me a B in programming and everything. And I was in competition with this girl, and I was so upset about that, man. I messed up on the test and made a B in the class. And, that's how you should be. You should be feeling like you failed because you made a B. Do y'all have y'all children like that? That's how I was growing up. In my family, this type of environment I grew up in. In my family, during the time I was in school, we had A+, A, and A-. In our household, An A minus was cause for concern. A B wasn't even considered. That was unspeakable. You failed. You're grounded. You're not going. You're not going anywhere. You got a B, but A minus. Oh, yeah, you got to work a little bit more. How'd you get A minus? A minus is nah. A plus A minus nah. What is going on? There's room for concern. Do you have that standard of excellence in your life? It's called a standard of excellence in everything that you do. Let's look at this. Number 20. Place all documents you execute as well as all paperwork from adverse parties in the system that you receive and accept in return for value and or file in court directly under the Universal Postal Union, namely the UPU, by the proper use of postage stamps. This matter is discussed below under postal power. 21. We'll talk about postage stamps a little bit too. 21. Whenever you have serious subpoenas to serve, such as on the mayor of the municipality or some higher government official, have them served by a sheriff or better yet a provost marshal. Call the U.S. Marshal's office and see what is involved in having that done. 22. If you are in prison, either ask or have someone on the outside ask on your behalf for the prison form for reporting irregularities. A prison is a federal project. Inmates can report irregularities and call in county, state, and federal auditors. This form is used for reporting irregularities and accounting of federal projects to the Army Corps of Engineers under the Military Accounting Manual ER 37210. Almost all prisons keep false books. When they are audited upon the first irregularity, which usually does not take long for auditors to find, things hit the fan. One might ask the prison administrator for the form or the prison case officer. Let me talk about that real quick. If you're in prison, you should check your jacket you have 2 times to check your jacket a year to see what these people are putting on file on you. You should always go to your counselor and ask them, I need to see my jacket, and read your jacket. They got to let you do it. These forms and everything, everybody's afraid of the IRS. Everybody is afraid of the IRS. That's why the tax forms that you put on the ass is everything, because nobody wants their books open. That go for these courts, that go for the sheriffs, that go for anybody that you fucking with. These dealerships, when y'all try to get these cars and they don't give you the car, somebody told me sometimes they keep the car in inventory and you do a 1099, I don't know if it's a 1099 INT or I forgot, but it's I gotta go back and ask my CPA, but it'll trigger an audit. You want to get them, and then they'll audit the inventory and they can see where that money came in, but the inventory didn't go out. I'm giving up some stuff today. I'm gonna give up a little bit today. Appreciate that 50-year journey. Bro, keep on the pressure. Freedom isn't free until you use your dome to learn, not just to feel, look, or see. This is a game. Learn to play the game of life. Light illuminated, free energy, peace, God. I appreciate that 50-year journey. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, and this is a real interesting right here. The SID number. It's called state identification number, SID number. Now, when we look on some of the old UCC forms, I can show you an example of this in class. We have, because I'm about to kick back on class on SBC University. It's called a state identification number. Anybody who's been arrested has a state identification number. This serves as prima facie evidence that your straw man is a corporate entity. Write this down. Ask for your state identification number and file for every state in which you have ever been for any period of time. Well, the social security number is federal. The state identification number is state. Through the tracking number, the state keeps track of everything about you, namely the straw man, such as licenses, liens, arrests, etc. State identification numbers are either 7 digits followed by a 2-letter suffix or 8 digits without the letter. All, however, are preceded by the 2-character U.S. postal identification of the state, which is your capital 2-letter state. One probably must make a Freedom of Information Act FOIA request, or the state equivalent in California, for instance. One might use the Information Practices Act, IPA, for procuring your state's SID file. Yes. Sometimes if you get your jacket, your state identification number will be in there. Before I started revealing all of this, all the court documents when you got arrested would have your state identification number on there. After I started bringing this information out in the public, I can't find it on no court documents anymore. But they still have one. When you ask for your jacket from the feds, it will be in there. '24. Send off a FOIA to the FBI for your FBI rap sheet. This is what I was just talking about, your rap sheet, which not only contains the record of every arrest or detention, alienation to which your strawman has ever been subjected, but allegedly can be used legally to provide conclusive and indisputable proof that the strawman is a separate and distinct legal entity in the nature of a corporation and created by the state. It references the organizational ID number, just like the corporate police agencies have. Let me stop right there. That is true. Like the state identification number is it. The police agencies have that. You have a state agency number. That's the number we were putting on our UCCs. But they took that organizational ID off of the UCC1, and now they're rejecting all of these UCCs, talking about you got the same name as a strawman. They weren't doing that at first because we were able to make a distinction between the all caps name and your name because the all caps name had the state identification number on it. We showed them that, look, this is in your record as a corporation. What are you talking about? So they took it off. If you go on the internet and look at some old UCC1 forms, you'll see on there at the top, by organization with the debtor, you'll see organizational ID. They took that off the form. Appreciate Donald Walker. Y'all gonna get it today. We own it today. You're gonna get some information. Y'all want me to come in and do stuff for free. Y'all know I have, you can register on let me stop right here. I'm doing a seminar in Dallas. When you register on Dallas, it's going to take you to Currency Circulator. I'm registering you in Currency Circulator for the Dallas seminar. Don't ask me when it takes you to Currency Circulator, just register over there. I got everybody over there. You're also going to have access to SBC University too. But we're keeping all the registrations in Currency Circulator. I'm doing that for a reason, because I'll give y'all a lot of y'all money back. I'm trying to give people their money back. Everybody think I'm after money. They think I'm on a money grab. Hell, I work. Hell, I've been doing, before I bought this gold necklace, I think I did this like, what, 10 years? Took me about 10 years to buy a gold necklace. Damn, I can't have a gold necklace? I can't have a gold necklace. About 10 years. Now, I thought 10 years. I never had any jewelry when I was on my radio for 7 years. Didn't have a single piece of jewelry. Or a nice car. Like 7 years. Let's get back. It references an organism. We right here. Let's look at it right here. We right here. Right here. It references an organizational ID just like the corporate police agencies have, etc. This is prima facie evidence of diversity of citizenship. In addition, this FBI rap sheet is invaluable if you're trying to clear your record or restore your rights or attack an agency legally. In addition to obtaining it by making a FOIA request to the FBI, if you're a guest of the Bureau of Prisons, BOP, you can get it by written request to your case manager since it is in your file. BOP guests take note. The FBI rap sheet does not contain info on the dispositions of cases, so it does not come under the recent snitch protection ban on paperwork. That means they cannot refuse to give it to you. You know, because, you know, if you're in the feds, you know, it's where you can't have your pre-sentence investigation report anymore, because, you know, that right there show people that you're a snitch. And dudes end up, you get hurt in there. They can read your pre-sentence investigation report, see that you told on somebody. So they got that snitch protection act. That's what they're talking about. This don't fall up under that. All right, if you're in the BOP, that's what I was telling you earlier. You got to ask to see your case file. You got 2 times a year, you have a right to see it every 6 months. Use it if you're in the Fed. Now you know what you're looking for. Because now most of y'all just get in, just looking at motherfucker don't know what you're looking at. Now you know what to look for. You also need to see what they're saying about you. Is that what they were saying about me? They said, oh, he's an anti-government. They were calling me, and I looked at my file. They were talking about, I believe the government is conspiring against the people. And I ain't said none of that shit. It was just because I was coming in court and everything. They were saying, oh, you know, he's a conspiracy theorist and all of this. This was in my rap sheet. You gotta go and check and see what these people, what they got on you. They got a file on you. You know the courage it takes to come on YouTube and say this shit I'm saying to you, knowing that these people are looking at me and watching and all the shit I've been through. You can only thing I got, the only thing that I got to rest upon is some sort of divine protection. I know that as long as I walk the straight and narrow, that I can't be touched. It's when I fuck up and do something I'm not supposed to do that they can fuck me up. But I'm gonna put this information out. I hope y'all got some nuts. Thank you, Donald Walker. Appreciate that, bro. Thank you. Samzishki. I can't pronounce that. What is that? That $1.99. I appreciate it. Thank you for them 20 bones. Thank you for that $36.99. That 50 bones. I appreciate everything. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is cause and effect right here, number 25. Emulate success. There's people who fundamentally simply wish to live in peace and be left alone, study, interact, and engage in using approaches that their best research and judgment indicates might succeed. Their experiences and the understanding that often ensue are not only invaluable, but add to the knowledge and tools available to the rest of us. Therefore, networking is invaluable. That's why we have a Facebook group. Facebook group is so y'all can share information. That's why I'm kicking you out. You talking about, oh, you know, you need this information, inbox me. Man, fuck you, man. Put that information out. I was dealing with people like that in prison. You know, y'all say, man, let me see that document. No, brother, you can't let you see this. They're cuffing information. You don't want me to see it and critique it. That's what it is. Because you know I'm gonna call it out if it's some bullshit. Back, I appreciate that. 1999. 9 to the 9 power 9. Keep going. 26. Those of us involved in this quest for truth, freedom, and peace will well be advised to abandon petty bickering, fault finding, and snap out of our stupor. There's no room left for the indulging in such counterproductive luxuries. The good ship U.S. long ago hit the iceberg. It's not the time to be arguing about who gets what space for a deck chair who can play the next round of shuffleboard. Change your thinking. As we've discussed, if we'll be enriched instead of diminished when dealing with presentments or anything else in the system, we must replace false and inadequate ideas with true and effective ones. We must be more conscious of our thinking and why we think as we do. A humorous quote by Sidgwick punctuates the matter. We think so because other people all think so, or because after all, we do think so, or because we were told so and think we must think so, or because we once thought so and think we still think so, or because having thoughts so, we think we will think so. Let's go to the phone lines. Go to the phone lines. Phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. What's the phone number? Number to call in. 563-999-3616. Hit number 1 on your phone if you want to talk to me. You got hit number 1 on the phone if you want to talk to me. Number 1, 757. 757-0750. You on the line. What's on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I really seriously appreciate what you're doing and you letting people come and talk to you and give me so much wisdom. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you listening to me and putting confidence in me and thinking what I'm telling you is the truth. I appreciate you.
It really is. I came from like a single mom household and I came from really not knowing a lot of this stuff and I'm very new to this. But I have a situation and I would really, really appreciate it if I could just run it by you and see if you have any specific advice for me.
All right. Go ahead.
So back in December, I was renting from a person for 2 years. I always paid rent on time. I'm in a situation seriously with clean hands. And at that time I was about to have a daughter and he denied my rent payment and he purposefully like evicted me after denying my rent payments. We went before the judge and the judge did not listen to the evidence that I had tried to pay him. He didn't care that like the men have filed improperly and all these other things, and he put a judgment against me. And I was the eviction judgment came up against me, and I'm so sorry, I'm getting another call. Send a message. So I got the eviction judgment against me, and during my 10-day appeal period of that judgment, my landlord came in and he stole about $40,000 worth of my property. And the sheriff's department, like Houston, I don't know if you have some connection there. I've just been like dealing with this legal battle kind of brutally, and I'm looking to see what steps that need to be taken in order for me to like. I know that you said I need to put like make an affidavit, a statement. I'm just trying to get any type of specific advice that I can from you.
Well, if we're talking about an eviction, okay, the first thing, the guidelines for an eviction or unlawful detainer are in the state court bench book of each state. Write that down, the state court bench book. The state court bench book. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
They have started to not make those available on the internet. Let me see if I can. A lot of the stuff that used to be available on the internet, I'm telling y'all, that's why I started SPC University, because a lot of stuff is not as readily available as it used to be. Let's see, state court bench book. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Georgia State Court bench. See if this is it. Yeah, let me see it. Listen. You got a state court bench book. All right, so this is in Georgia. This is a Georgia State Court bench book. All right, this will give you an inside track of what is going on when you do an eviction. So here's landlord tenant. Oh, this ain't the whole book. Shoot. But right here, this is just a bit. But when you look at the book, they took the whole book down. This right here, this landlord tenant section, that right there is going to explain. It's the judge actually uses this. So when you're dealing with a judge in an eviction, you're dealing with an administrator. The administrator, his duties are administrative in nature. He has a ministerial duty to perform, which means it's not left up to judgment, discretion, or skill, very little discretion and so forth, and skill. He's doing what he's told to do. So he's been told that the proper response to an unlawful detainer is denial of a landlord-tenant relationship. You see, when you go into an unlawful detainer, title is not an issue. That landlord is saying that's his property, and you were in it against his wishes. And you're saying that when you had some payments or something like that, well, I think after a certain point, the landlord is not required to accept any payments from you. Now, I haven't seen the transcript of the proceedings, and that's another thing. You don't ever go in an unlawful detainer without having a stenographer there, because anytime you don't have a stenographer there, you're just telling me something that is your word against his, which ain't gonna get you no fucking where.
So that's. I completely understand. And the court reporter, I did not have a court reporter present. What I ended up happening is I was assigned legal aid, and I was talking to the legal aid person. I was asking, can you help me to get a court reporter? And this is before I really realized how important that was. And the legal aid person actually discouraged me from getting a court reporter. He said, you don't need a court reporter. And then what ended up happening is this attorney who was helping me, this legal aid attorney, had witnessed my landlord perjure himself before the court. And so he says that he would testify to the fact that my landlord said he knew that I perfected my appeal before he took my belongings. But the landlord, he's trying to blame it on the sheriff's department at this point.
Well, the thing about it is, attorneys, you don't never trust them with nothing like that. I don't listen to no attorney ever on something like that. Something you don't need. Why would you? How is having this court reporter going to hurt you? It's not going to hurt me having one. I'm going to use every tool I can to my advantage. You know, I'm going to use. You're going to tell me I don't need one. No, I do need one. You always need. I would have asked them, well, how am I going to appeal if I don't have a stenographic record of the proceedings? Because we all know that the appellate court automatically, there's a presumption that the trial court ruled correctly if there's no stenographic record of the proceedings. They're automatically going to rule in favor of the trial court, not you. That's automatic off the rip. That presumption is already in place in their favor. So why wouldn't I have a stenographer? I can't appeal without it. So that's number one. Okay, number one. As far as him testifying, I don't see attorneys testifying to anything. He has to have firsthand knowledge of something. Attorneys don't usually take the stand and testify to nothing. I ain't seen one do it. So that right there, that's game. That's what I mean. They run game on people all the time. All the time. Y'all got to study stuff for yourself. So this bench book that I'm talking right here, I don't know what state you're in, but every state has their own bench book. If you get a hold of one and read it, you'll see what the judges are required to do. Because the first thing is, now if you're renting an apartment or something like that, you ain't got a lot of leeway in an apartment. I'm talking about a lot of this stuff is more effective when you got a house and somebody's trying to foreclose on you and then after they foreclose, evict you out of the house. But an apartment, or if you rent somebody's house, you don't have title. You don't own it. You know what I'm saying? You don't own the property. It's not your property. You know, so once you and let me tell you something. Once you miss a payment or late on the payment, people are lawfully can accelerate something and remove you from that property. You miss one payment on a mortgage, they have every right to accelerate the loan and take the house from you. They don't do it, but they can. Same thing with missing your rent. You late on your rent, if you read your contract, they can accelerate it. They say, okay, we're gonna kick you out. They have every right to do that. It's contract. You have to read the contract. This is all contract. All the stuff you're talking about is contractual. So you got to read the contract and see what the contract says. Because contract makes the law. The contract is the law. So if the judge doesn't want to hear it, and then that's also depending on if you're in a debtor creditor state. The best debtor state that I have seen law so far, believe it or not, is Illinois. Illinois has some. I think it's a debtor-friendly state. But a lot of these states, like Georgia, is a creditor-friendly state. You know, if you're in a creditor-friendly state, there's a creditor and a debtor relationship. The creditor always wins. The creditor always wins. Equity is brutal. Okay, they're here enforcing contracts, and the creditor always wins. So you got to understand that. So that's why one of the rules over here is you got to stay in honor at all costs. If you sign a contract saying that you're going to make payments on something, you got to make those payments on it. You can't go behind on your obligation and then try to discharge it. You need to be in honor when you discharge something. You know, that's what I teach over here. So other people might try something else, but you got to be honorable in all your dealings. You know, so I don't know the particulars behind the circumstance that you're talking about because really you're just talking to me on the phone. But if you don't have a stenographic record of anything, I can't tell you much. I can just direct you to that bench book. You can look in it, see if they what they're saying. But you know, in particular, if you're out the property now, if you're out the property, do you have title to the property? Did you have title to the property? Did you own the property?
No, no, I didn't. I was just renting a house, and
That's not your house. That's their house.
Just to clarify,
That's not your house. That's their
right?
house.
It's their house.
It's not your house.
Yeah.
All right? They want you out. If they want you out, I just put some people out. I put people out for all kind of things. I'm Airbnb and something. Somebody they started a fight over there. Gotta get out. I don't care. I don't care what you pay. I don't need that. I got a business to run. Ouch. I'm not dealing with the headache. You know, something like that. So you gotta understand it's their property. So they have entitled to run their property. You gotta stay in honor. And once you go into dishonor, you know, you got the chips stacked against you. Unfortunately.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to explain is now I've gotten myself in sort of a situation where I was in honor when this happened, and I was paying rent on time.
So
and
why
then
he kicked you out? So he just got mad at you paying rent on time, and he decided he wants you there no more. Is that what you're saying?
No, I believe that he strategically chose a time when I was coming to stay with my mother. I let him know I was about to stay with my mother because I was about to have a baby, so I wanted to help me with the baby and kids. And I believe that he knew that I had valuable equipment in that home that I was using for landscaping and for farming and stuff like that. And I believe that he somehow strategically took these steps to try to get me out so he could take that property.
Okay, well, let me ask you that. We can't put you out without taking you to court. Did you go to court?
90 seconds.
Yes, we went to court, and like I said at that first hearing, the judge ruled against me.
Okay, hold on. So when they rule against you, how long did they tell you got to get out when they rule against you? How long? They usually take about 10 days.
10 days to appeal.
You got an appeal that you can do.
10 days to appeal, yeah.
Okay, but even when you're doing an appeal, they want you to put some money into the court registry to stay, you know, so they won't kick you out. If you don't do that, they're gonna kick you out.
60 seconds.
So, you know, they tell you everything, man. Come on, I done did evictions. That's one of the primary things I did, you know, in 2010 to 2013, like twice a week. I did that. I know how these people
That's
do that.
I perfected my appeal.
Say what?
I had perfected my appeal, and after I perfected my appeal, still within the 10 days, it was kind of crazy because on the very last day of that appeal period, I perfected my appeal, and they performed the eviction that day. And
The sheriff is the one that evicts you. The sheriff does. So how's he stealing your stuff and the sheriff evicted you?
That's where
10 seconds.
I'm confused about how to go forward with this, because if it is in the hands of the sheriff's department for unlawfully evicting me in my appeal period,
The sheriff is not going to evict you without an order from the court. All you got to do is ask them, where's the order for eviction?
That's what I'm saying.
Huh?
They had the order for eviction, but they were not allowed to act on it within that 10 day period. So during that 10 days, they acted on it.
Can you quote me the statutory code that substantiates what you just say? Because anything they do, there has to be a code, statute, or something like that. They go straight by codes and statutes. So what statute, code, rule, regulation, whatever you have in your possession that says that once they receive an order, once an order has been issued for an eviction and you enter an appeal, that they can't evict you within that 10 days. Now, I'm not saying they don't exist because I have heard of things like that. They had something like that in Georgia at one time, and then they changed it. And they start asking you'd have to deposit your rent into the court if you wanted to do that. That's how they do it in Georgia. They will do that in Georgia only if you deposit like a month. They'll ask for a month, 2 months rent, something like that, and you put it into the court. They do that, but they credit friendly. I'm telling you.
That becomes the other part of the situation. So firstly, there is that statute in place that says that the court that they did not have authority from the court.
Okay, well then you need to file an action in Superior Court saying, you know, and for an injury because you've been injured. So you want to sue them. So you want to sue because who are you suing? You know, if there's a law that says the sheriff isn't supposed to do that, the sheriff is the one that's liable. You know, so who's liable? We got to identify first of all who's the party that's liable. First of all, you got to show me the statutory code that says that, and then there's some liability. So then there's an injury. The injury is going to be inclusive of what you lost. Did you lose all your how much of the equipment was or whatever? Why weren't you there to pick up the equipment once they put it out? That's another question we have to ask. You know, so these are things that, you know, I understand what you're saying. I've had that happen. You know, I understand exactly what you're saying. I know, and I sympathize with how you feel because I've had things happen to clients of mine like that before. Because I just dealt in, anytime you're dealing in foreclosures on the degree I have, you're gonna have situations like that. It's gonna occur. I've had all kinds of situations. But at the same time, there's not much you can do except, you know, you can do a lawsuit against them or something like that. But you need to make sure that you have, you know, what is your responsibility in all of this? You know, so I'm telling you, they usually do everything procedurally correctly. And, you know, if they didn't, that's what you got to do. You got to attack that. That's all I can tell you. I mean, just basically, you haven't shown me the paperwork. What do you have in writing to substantiate everything that you're saying? The spoken word flies out the window. The written word remains forever. So where's the writing? Where's the code section?
When you say that, something that I want to know if this is, I hear what you're saying. I just want to run this by you. So I have a recording of me speaking to different members of the sheriff's department, and this member of the sheriff's department told me over the phone, which I do have recorded, that they never evicted me.
Well, I mean, that's not admissible in court. You got a recording. I mean, did you record him with his authorization?
No, I did not. It's a one-party consent state, so technically in Virginia, only you have to consent.
Can you prove that's the sheriff on the recording? That's the sheriff deputy on the recording? You got some sort of witness, affidavit, something that can substantiate that? Because evidence is something that's sworn to under penalty of perjury. So you got some witnesses? How many witnesses you got?
I have the one witness of the other person that he called from the lineup, so it's like two different members of the sheriff's
department.
Would
they sign an affidavit? Would they sign an affidavit supporting what you're saying right now?
I sure do not believe they would. No.
Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry. You know, I sympathize with you. Trust me, I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for the people, but I'm also realistic. I got a lot of experience with this, and sometimes you have to charge things to the game. Maybe that this is what you should do. Anything that happens to you, there's something better coming. Don't hold on to things that you lost. Trust me. If you just look forward and you have a positive mental attitude, whatever you had will be replaced, and you'll get something better than what you had before. But I had a client like that. He would not let go. He was so pissed off. He lost the building. These people tricked him out of a building. I worked with that man. He tried to sue. He sued these people like for the last 5-6 years. He just stayed in court. Bankruptcy court, superior court, going back, filing another one, just at one after the other, trying to get these people. It's like, you got to understand that the court system is owned by the banks. These administrative courts, they're not courts of law. They're not courts of justice. It's not about true justice in the American way. You need to get that out of your system. It's not. And on top of all this, you don't own the property. Let's recap. You don't have a stenographic record of the proceedings. You don't have any witnesses to substantiate what you're saying. You have a recording. We have no way of identifying the officer that's on there speaking, whether or not it's even an officer for that point. You don't have anything. I'm going to just be brutally honest with you.
No, I hear you. The other part of this that adds to it, which, I was kind of coming to this conclusion, but I think that you're kind of clarifying it for me. So the landlord, I was not aware of what exactly we were talking about before, which is the truth, which is I'm supposed to have been paying rent into the court all the way up until this point for all of these months.
That's right.
I don't still live in the property, but because I haven't officially moved out, I technically owe on all of those months. And so he wants to make a deal wherein I would agree to drop my case against him for the amount that he stole from me, which is about 4 times what the amount of rent that would be owed into the court is. But he wants to make a deal where we both drop our cases. And I'm trying to understand if that's the right move or what I should be doing going forward.
I mean, what case did he have against you? He trying to get some money out of you?
Yeah, he's trying to get money out of me for all of the months of rent that I was supposed to pay into the court.
I mean, it's a civil action. I mean, if you get a judgment against you, good luck on collecting. That's what I would say. But how is it advantage of you to keep this going? Sometimes it's best just to move on. It's not your house. You don't own it. You don't own the house. So, you were renting it. Okay. You say you lost some equipment. I don't know what the circumstances were behind that. You don't have a lot of evidence to support your position. I mean, it might be the best option for you. I don't know, but I haven't seen any paperwork or anything like that. But look, I gotta go to the next caller. That's the best I can tell you, okay? But I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate every single video, everything that you spread with them. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to 973-2836. 973-2836.
Hey, how are you doing? PCU.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much, man. I wanted to thank you for all the videos that you're posting, as well as the information that you are bringing forth, as well as I'm trying to cut this damn TV off. Excuse me. About a year ago, me and you had a conversation on the phone, and you asked me, "Are you in jail?" I said, "No, Yusuf, I'm not in jail." You said, "Hey, so I said, are you going to court? Are you in foreclosure? Are you dealing with child support?" That's not my necessarily expertise, but I'm asking these questions, and that my answer to you was no. So you said, "Oh, you one of them." So I am one of them.
What do you mean one of them? Hold on. I don't remember this conversation that you're talking about. What do you mean one of them? What is one of them?
Yeah, well, basically, I take it personal. I take this procedure personal. I am a military veteran. I have not done any time behind bars. And I have been, basically at the age of 40, getting my ass handed to me left and right because I understand after learning the information for myself that the ceiling is made out of concrete, and the only way to leave out of it, you have to walk out of the door. So in our conversation, you basically, and I don't mean to bring this up for any kind of I'm not bringing any leverage or anything like that. It's just basically a conversation. That's all. And during it's very inspirational. One of the conversations that my initial conversation that started me on this road kind of gave me the validity that I needed to be able to just, I guess, fortify my position was with you. So, I thank you for that. And you pointed me in the direction and said, well, you need to learn trust. You need to spend all your time for the next 6 months, and you need to work on trust. Everything about trust, the Wife's Concise Trustee Handbook, the Trust Bible, American Jurisprudence on trust. I have literally watched every single video of yours on SPC University twice. I've been on it. Now, this is my issue, and this is my question. The more I digest this information, and I study this information, I read case law like I read case Boss Man before I eat breakfast. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I do. That's all I do now. It's like crack. You know what I'm saying? Once you, once you hit it, it's like, oh man,
it is.
Start to understand it.
It is.
But
it's very interesting.
I'm having a hard time, and this is where the question comes in. I'm having a hard time with running into personalities that I can communicate with. I love Facebook. I did delete my Facebook account because I am moving in the realm of privacy slowly but surely. I filed, my UCC 11, and I'm working on a very extensive security agreement for myself. But it's the community. And I wanted to see if you could point me in the right direction to other personalities, because I'm legitimately destroying every single relationship that I'm in, because either the woman don't want to hear me talk about trust law all day long.
You need to come. You need to come. You need to come. You know what? You need to come to these events that we have. That's like with me with real estate investing. I like going to like Grant Cardone. I like going to Grant Cardone's events because there's a lot of like-minded people there. There's a lot of business owners there. We sit down at the table and we have discussions, and I don't feel alone anymore. I'm like, wow, it's a lot of people. Yeah. It's people making a lot more money than me. It's something I'm like, damn, these people making some money. And, and they all have the same goals. We all have the same goals. It's the same thing like when this event I'm about to throw in Dallas. It's going to be everybody there. It's going to be like-minded. It's going to an event is not about just giving some money to use avail. Going to an event is there to meet other people, mingle, meet people, do things like that. Check out a new city. It's a lot of things that go with that. It's an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's nice. That's what we have events for. Yeah. I can have an event and I can just do this shit over the internet. I can do a lot, just, do a webinar over the internet, teach you the same thing. In my underwear, and I have to spend thousands of dollars, $10,000 to get a hotel, a venue to put it in, bring food, all this kind of stuff, airline tickets, pay money for all of my employees to get hotel rooms, flight tickets, and all of that kind of stuff. I ain't got to pay all of that. I just stay at home in my underwear, put up a link to a webinar, sit in my drawers, and make money and don't have no overhead or nothing like that. But now it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? You go out and then just meet the people. You know what I'm saying? And you can interact with other people who are like-minded like yourself. And it's very enjoyable. The event we had in Houston, I just want to say everybody was at the Houston event. I was so shocked. I mean, that Houston event was off the chain. That was the best event I ever did. It was in Houston, Texas. There was a lot of people there. I was shocked at the amount of people who were there. I was like, wow, look at this. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So come to that. We have in Dallas, it's gonna be on July 1st and July 2nd at the what hotel? It's on the website. Go and check that out. I forgot what hotel it is.
I will definitely be there for that. I mean, I missed the one in Atlanta. I did. I was beating myself up about it. But I do have one more question. If you would
let me say this about
the
Dallas event. Yeah. It's $399, and if you married, that covers you and your wife. Don't be trying to bring no girlfriend in there. It's like $180 extra for another person. You married, you bring your significant other. Y'all can sign up. $399, one price. All right. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I will be there for that one. Thank you. And the last question that I will have is that I'm a 40-year-old man. I am a widower, and this is my problem. My problem is, and I would like to hear your take on it. I think I've heard you expound on the subject before, but I'm going to make this extreme statement, and I would like for you to comment if you would not mind.
Okay, go ahead.
The real men is getting to the point that we can't even talk to a woman in a manly voice with a manly tone without being considered to be aggressive or considered to be demeaning to their character. I do not, and I agree that, you know, we living in this feminist movement and all of these things, but respectfully, my relationships are being destroyed. I mean, left and right. As soon as I start to talk, it's like, what are you mad about? I'm not mad at all. Why are you over pronunciating? Because I read. I don't. What are you talking about?
I'll talk on that.
And
that I got you. I got you. Okay, let me talk about that.
Thank you.
I was just watching Netflix. Netflix is real bad about it. What they're doing is they're programming. They started with this thing, toxic masculinity, and they got this word, emotional intelligence. You know, like a woman telling you don't have emotional intelligence. No, I don't have fucking emotional intelligence because I'm not a goddamn woman. Okay, first and foremost, let me put that out there. I don't got no goddamn emotional intelligence. Fuck you and your emotional intelligence. You take that and you take that over. That's for females. That's not for men. Okay, that's not for men. Men have to stand up and start being men again, regardless of what these females are saying. All right, because we the leaders and everything. That's what pisses me off, because you got so many simp, beta male, simp manginas out here that then their balls then fell out of their nut sack. And it's a lot of testosterone that's being lost due to all these men out here masturbating because they're constantly on porn sites. All right. So this aggression is a masculine characteristic. How are you going to protect someone if you don't have any aggression? This can control aggression, right, but aggression is supposed to be a part of a man's makeup. And this is what I say about studying lions. While lions are animals, they have a social structure, very intelligent. And I'm amazed sometimes. I can actually look at a lion pride and see, I said, in a million years, they're going to be walking upright like human beings doing the things that we do. All in nature, there's aggression. There's a female and there's a male. And, you know, and usually, and they all have roles that they play. They all have roles that they play. The things that you see happening in our society today is because that the demarcation line between masculine and feminine is getting blurred, as well as the fact that these people ain't been educated on masculine and feminine. You look all on the internet and he got these opinions about what feminine, I'm in my feminine, or this man is, I'm reading this book now, The Superior Man, and I'm reading this book. He started talking about how men need to be in their feminine. I went and checked the author's name. Sure enough, he was Jewish. I'm like, okay, this guy, I'm looking and reading what he's saying. He said, yeah, you need to be in your feminine frame. You need to experience your masculine and your feminine. No, a man needs to be 100% masculine and a woman needs to be 100% feminine. All right, that's how we can get along. If you got 80% masculine and 20% feminine, and a woman got 80% feminine and 20% masculine, that masculine and her is going to butt heads with the masculine that's in the man. If you look in the lion pride, them females submit. They ain't finna, they can be aggressive if they want to, but they end up dead. They can end up dead. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Men are warriors. They put in females in the military. Yeah. They put in females in the military, man, in the United States of America. The damn commander, we got a 4-star general who's a transgender in the United States of America. Jewish. Transgender. Yeah. 4-star general. Yeah, did y'all know that? Did y'all know that?
I did. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So only thing I can say, it's up for men. You gotta, this is what I can say, because I understand what you're saying, because I had the same thing in my relationships. You know, it's like this overly, because this feminism, this feminist thing, they'll call it abuse. They're saying, you know, this is abuse that you're doing or something like that. When I'm the head of the household, like in my particular situation, I use me for an example. There's never been a woman that's been with me that's had to pay bills. That's almost my entire life since I've been 22. Okay. Because I was trained in my role as a man to be the protector and provider. I've never dated a woman that's made more money than me, because I've always made a hell of a lot of money. I've always been a high 6-figure earner or above most of my life. So most of the women I meet, they don't make more money than me. All right. So they can't come in with that excuse that you're intimidated because I got an education. I'm educated. All right. I don't care about your degree. I can hold conversation in any subject with anyone. All right. The degree, you don't intimidate. I don't have any intimidation by any woman whatsoever. I could be with Oprah Winfrey. She wouldn't intimidate me at all. All right. So I don't know where they get that from. You're intimidated by, I got an education. You're intimidated by, I got a college degree. You're intimidated by this. I come back, I said, well, I don't have a college degree, but everybody who worked for me does. The people who work for me got PhDs, masters, and bachelor's degrees. Work for me. What am I getting intimidated by? I'm not intimidated by that. That's not a barometer of a success or anything like that. I consider myself to be a man's man. I know what my duties are as a man. And when I'm looking for a woman, I'm not looking for a woman to demonstrate characteristics to me that are that of a man. I don't care if you're a woman and you had to do it by yourself. You know, you have this argument that they make, well, we had to become masculine. Well, that's not my problem. Just like you wouldn't care if I'm acting feminine. And I come, well, you know, I was raised by a single mother and blah, blah, blah and everything. You wouldn't give a fuck about that shit. You're like, look, nigga, I don't care. You act like a fucking bitch.
Facts.
Same thing on our side. We don't care that what you went through. We're looking for a woman. Things have not changed. This is their next argument. Oh, well, that's old. No, it's not old. You know why it's not old? Because you still have babies. All right. The creator of the balanced universe still has you having children. And they trying to blur the lines with that. Talking about a trans female can have children. That's a fucking man dressed up like a woman. These people are stupid. They're trying to normalize idiocy. And our women are going along right with it because they will bow down to anybody's in power. And they targeting our women because our women will do it better than any other woman of any other group. I'm gonna tell it to our women. They will. You know it. Y'all the best. Y'all will be the best guard dogs for these people out of any other group of ethnic group of women out there.
That is true.
And you'll sit here and say that men aren't doing this, and men aren't doing this. This is another thing I think. You got a lot of men who take care of their children. All right. 80% of you are the ones that are filing for divorce, and you don't talk about all the ones that keep children away from the man, like my ex-wife did with me. Hide, move them out of the state without a damn court order, doing things like that. I could go in on women. Yeah, men do things. I'm not finna sit here and absolve all men from everything. But when a man is doing something, most of y'all can't even handle that. You talking about you intimidated by you intimidated by a man that checks all the boxes. Because you know you're intimidated by a man. He protects, provides, he's goal-oriented, he don't cheat on you or do anything like that. That man is gonna get cheated on and gonna get fucked over 90% of the time. Because it's going to end up being boring. It's going to be some excuse like he's boring or something like non-excitement or something like that. And right now, let's just keep it 100. 51% of the men out there are childless and not having sex. 51%. 80% of the women are out there having sex with 20% of the men because you all want a guy over 6 feet, 6-pack, and over six-figure income. They're the ones getting all the pussy, okay? All right, so let's not put all these other men in because y'all will share men within that group. This is where Kevin Samuels came in, and he was so important. And then they celebrated this man's death. That was so, I was like, boy, that said a lot about some people's character. But the underlying thing about it is the music that they listen to. These women, they listen to this drill rap and these female rappers who, by the way, all the female rappers that you listen to, they're in relationships. Cardi B is married. Megan Thee Stallion's constantly looking for a man. Constantly. These women got men, but they teaching you, they teach you how to be whatever. You know what I'm saying? So the thing about it is when I look on the media, I'm seeing the media, they do little slight things like you'll watch a TV show, the man is stupid, he's weak, or something like that. You got all these shows now, women whooping guys' ass, they in a leadership position. Every show I turn on Netflix, I can't watch nothing where it's a woman, she is the leader, and the men are subservient to her in some kind of way. And they inept or something in some capacity. That's a slow programming that's going on to eliminate masculinity that in the end is not going to help any of you women, any of you feminists out there, because the elite, the people who control the planet. And here's the next thing. I challenge any feminists out there, say something negative about a male Jew. Every time I say that, everything shut up. Everything shuts up because they know who the people are. They know that these men, like George Soros, who funded Black Lives Matter, a feminist LGBTQ group, it was a Jewish man who financed you. You wouldn't dare say nothing about that man. Let's keep it 100 now. I don't pull no punches. I'm gonna keep it 100. See, as a man, you gotta, if they don't like your masculinity, kick their ass to the curb. You don't have time to deal with that. You need to stay focused on what you're doing. I go through it too. I stay right on point on where I'm going, the goals that I'm at, because a man is supposed to be like a train. A train goes northbound, southbound, eastbound, and westbound. Men are the ones that have the goals. We are the ones that protect and provide. Women are the nurturers. We supposed to be nurturing a family. That's why we don't have no families. They trying to wait till they 30, 35. They talking about when I'm ready to get married, 35, 40. 35, 40 years old, we don't want that run through pussy. Everybody trying to marry you because you went out there and got ran through and don't like a man to tell you to your face about it. Tough. Real men don't give a damn what you feel about nothing. If you say, well, that's immature, you don't give a fuck what you think about it being immature. We want what we want. That's just it. I don't give a fuck what you think. But I think I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm a man. With my men over here, I don't give a fuck what those beta male simp manginas over there, what the next man said. I'm a man. This is what I want. This is the direction I'm going. This is my program. You can get on it or you could go somewhere else. Same thing I tell my daughter. I tell my daughter, look, find out where you want to go in life. Find you a man that's going that way and in it, jump on the train with him, sit your ass down. Don't fuck with him. If he is headed in that direction, okay, if he's a real man and headed in that direction, don't be fucking him up and everything, because you're going to benefit from this too. But at any point, he's not going in the direction you thought he was supposed to be going in. You have every right to jump off the train and get on another train that's going your way. But don't be trying to deter a man from his goal. Men are supposed to have goals. We are protectors and providers. And the creator of the boundless universe put that in us. And this is what is so insane about it. You ain't changing shit. You can't change nothing the creator has ordained. Like he said, my word will not come back to me void. That's why divine laws are immutable. Masculine and feminine are universal principles. Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at masculine and let's do a quick class on masculine and feminine so we can get rid of this bullshit that everybody's out there saying. Because a lot of them don't know what constitutes masculine or what constitutes feminine. They'll try to say, well, we all have masculine and feminine in us. No, that's not correct. That's not correct. You all have this duality in you where you receive something and give something, but that's in the conscious mind, because you all have a conscious and subconscious. So the conscious is masculine because it's active, and the subconscious is feminine because it receives. So in that aspect, you do have a masculine and feminine, but we could call it active and passive. We could call it positive and negative. We could put any kind of label we want on it. All right, but that's not, it was talking about masculinity as far as how it is embodied in the male species. It's not for you to understand. I can't even understand why anybody would go and a man would take any advice from a woman whatsoever on anything when this woman is not a man. She's not a man. She's ruled by her emotions. You rule by your logic and your reason. An emotional man is a dangerous man. An emotional man is one to whoop your ass. An emotional man will kill somebody. What do you mean emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is for us is you channeling that emotional energy through logic and reason, something that you don't demonstrate a lot of. And they'll say, well, the patriarchy is running everything. Men built the world. They got a problem with that when you say that. Men built the world. I'm walking outside right here. I see construction sites everywhere. I don't see a woman no damn where. This overall disrespect of masculinity, it started when they started coining that phrase, toxic masculinity. If there's a toxic masculinity, there's a duality in everything. That stands to reason there must be a toxic femininity. If toxic masculinity exists, toxic femininity exists because there's two sides to everything in creation. And that phrase was coined by gays and feminists. Why would any man even respect anyone who even uses that word? If you're a man, how you even respect that? I don't respect no woman that say that shit, toxic masculinity. You just made some shit up. You pull that shit out your ass. How can masculinity be toxic? Every time you see somebody saying that it's a feminist, and the person saying it is a woman acting like a man. Let's look at this real quick. Let's do it. Let's do this real quick. You got all these people on the internet giving their advice, relationship advice. 99% of it is bullshit. You know why? Because there's no principle. I listen to them and I wait for them. Every time I hear, I feel that, or I think that, you know, it's some bullshit. Because if you want to lead somebody to heaven, you keep your opinions to yourself. Natural laws don't give a fuck how you feel. Do gravity care about how you feel? Gravity doesn't care. You feel you can fly. Gravity won't care. That's natural laws. So let's look at the natural laws of what's called gender. There's 7 principles. All right, that is mentalism, vibration. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. We're going to look at the 7th principle. There's 7 principles, even in Proverbs 9:1, where it says wisdom. In your Bible, they don't use the word mother nature. All right, there is a father God and a mother nature. Okay, there's a man. Y'all get mad at them, all that a man made that. Listen, there is a masculine and feminine on all levels. On the mental, spiritual, and physical plane, there's masculine and feminine. You're just not wise enough or perceptive enough to see it in the language. The female is recognized, always recognized. She's called different things in under different cultures. In your Bible, she's called wisdom. Wisdom is always referred to as a she, never a he. Wisdom is Mother Nature. Isis, whatever you want to call, whatever label you want to put on it. So you have a father God and mother nature. You have a masculine and feminine. Active, passive. Mother Earth. Why? Because you put seeds in her and she brings back anything that you put into the feminine, she gives it back like kind. Anything the masculine puts in the feminine, it comes back like kind. There is no manifestation without the feminine. That's why they kind of don't want you to know about it, because it's cutting off your ability to manifest things. But the role that the feminine plays, these women, they not in their feminine. They in a mask. They trying to be men. They don't want to submit. They think submission, they talking about being a housewife is slavery. But you go slave at a job. You go let this white man tell you to do what to do all day long. You happy with that? You go slave with that. Well, you know, we don't have no choice. Well, you know what? It's the kind of men that you are selecting. True enough. There's a lot of men out there, because I talk about to men all the time. Y'all hear me on my show always telling men, you got to get out there and you got to go get it. All right. As men out there, it is your responsibility to provide an environment for a woman so she can thrive in. And it's also your responsibility to select a woman like that, which the selection process is getting the pickings is getting slim. And the number one thing that's causing that is promiscuity. Promiscuity is destroying relationships. Women are the gateway to sex. An old woman told me one time, she said, men didn't become dogs till women became whores. And that's true. A man can't be a dog without the help of a woman. Y'all got to reel that sex. Y'all got to take back control of that sex. You women out there. These men, let me tell you something. Sex is not easy to get. Watch all these men go out here and start getting to it. Tell them.
All right, coming up on the 3-hour mark. I'm going to wrap it up here at 3 hours. Peace and love. Peace and blessings, y'all. Peace. Go back and watch the beginning to get the legal terms. Yeah. Learn and work out and eat right and love properly. All right, I'm out. Proper instruction